What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yo.
What's going on?
Welcome to a stream. We're trying out a co-stream where Tyler and I are both streaming at the same time. Doc will be streaming in the future. It's just today we couldn't get the tech to work out. So, but yeah, we're just kind of hanging out. We're talking about obviously, the CPI data came in today. We're probably going to be seeing PPI coming in tomorrow. So we'll, we got some interesting things going on. I guess we'll open it up with just kind of a quick question, Doc or Tyler. Well, maybe we'll start with Tyler and then we'll go to you, Doc. Of how were you guys surprised to see that inflation came in hot and then subsequently crypto kind of started to pump?
No, not really. I mean, that's not what I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, but surprised would be a little bit of an overstatement. You know, I tell people all the time, it's like where we are on my channel. I talk about this thing called an HMZ basically 45 times a day. I have HMZ written across my mirror at this point. It's a high manipulation zone, right? And I think that where we are right now in the crypto market is a zone in which you're just going to see stuff like this all the time. You're going to see bad news come out that's going to pump the market. You're going to see good news come out that dumps the market. You're going to see nothing dump the market. You're going to see nothing pump the market. You're going to have nothing burgers and fake outs. So no, one thing that we've talked about a good bit is the fact that liquidations have been stupidly high to the upside. I think in between here and $108,000, it's over $11 billion in liquidations. So at any given point, at any given moment, you could see those liquidations just start piling up, and you just see the lizard people, as I call them on my channel, do what they do, right? And so no, not particularly surprised, not what I expected. And that does put me in a position where I am still skeptical of this pump that we're seeing right now in crypto, which is why I'm not falling for it. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain. I'll just take it for what it is.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We really talk about like the volatility is vitality, right? And we've got a busy week, ton of economic data coming out. We kind of had some inklings that this print was going to be hotter. If you actually look at the seasonality, January is typically a little bit higher on inflation data. I know the projected number was like 2.7 was last month's, and then the projected this month was 3 or like around there. So we still were a little bit higher. So at first I was not surprised to see the initial dump. Like I look at the 4-hour candle and seeing that big red wick was kind of painful. And I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point a little bit later on. But then these budget projections came out with a $4 trillion increase in the budgets, and the first thing that came to mind was the Jerome Powell money printer meme, just increase in the markets. And we know risk assets really love this flush of liquidity. So I think kind of the way I'm interpreting it is I'm buckling up, right? I'm grabbing onto the roller coaster sidebars because we know this is going to be a busy week. And I think, Tyler, I think you said it best. Like there's so much money set with liquidations here. When things move, they're going to move fast, right? Because people are going to get flushed out. And it's going to cause these cascade liquidations. So I think this is, in a lot of ways, kind of what we all signed up for, though, right? This is what we want. We want these big moves, and we've all been patient, right? Our bags have been packed for years now. We're just waiting for the dominoes to kind of fall into place so that things can really start moving.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. What are you guys' thoughts about? Because one of the things I was reading this morning, and I actually think I may have potentially posted on my X account as well, of talking about essentially like inflation stays higher for longer. Maybe rates don't get cut this year. Maybe rates even get risen again potentially. A lot of potentially crazy stuff coming soon. I mean, I always kind of harken back to like the 2017 bull market, right? Because in 2017, rates were stable. I don't think quantitative easing or tightening was going on. I think it might have been tightening at that point in time. But like there was a lot of stuff that was going on that nowadays we would probably say is kind of bad news, or bearish news, or maybe not even just necessarily bullish news. But now we're taking a look at kind of what's going on now, and like, oh, this is bad news, right? But we have seen this happen before. So do you guys think the like liquidity, like the rate cut cycles, the QT, QE, all that type of stuff, like does that impact it? Is crypto just going to do what crypto is going to do? What do you think?
So I think, so you remember, I don't know, Kate, if you remember this, but a month ago I started kind of toying with this idea that we're in an institution cycle, right? That was kind of just the way that my brain started to justify what's happening. Because if you start looking at this not so much as a normal 4-year cycle, and you look at this as a part of the 4-year pattern, but an institution-based cycle, you'll start to notice how much all this stuff starts to make sense. Because if you look at this as a normal cycle, basically nothing as to what's happened looks the same or makes sense. But if you look at if you look at periods in time in which, whether it's tech, whether it's real estate, obviously pre-2008, or whether it's now, the moment that institutions start entering into an expanding asset class, it looks like this. And so the way that I see it is, quite frankly, institutions don't really care what's happening with quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. Unless it's dramatic, it doesn't affect them. Inflation doesn't affect them. Interest rates, they have their own private rates. Doesn't matter to them. It doesn't really impact them. And so I think that the trajectory that this market is on, and that the majority of this cycle will be institution based, and I don't think it's going to impact it. And so that's obviously a good thing from my perspective, in the sense that I think everything's going to continue as it is. Obviously, there may be certain things that kind of shift stuff around, right? Bitcoin Strategic Reserve pops up out of nowhere, that's going to start shifting stuff. If something crazy happens like Pepe back in 2023, where a meme coin just catches on fire and everyone loves it, that can shift things around a little bit. But I'm honestly not all too concerned with the way that the economy is going to shape out, because I do think institutions are going to continue to do what they're going to do. But if you are a retail investor and you are hoping for some sort of like blow off top altcoin season, something like that, the likelihood is that what's happening with inflation right now will delay that, because the longer that inflation is sticky, the more likely it is that people aren't going to have money. Simple as that. The longer people don't have money, the more they're not going to invest in a crypto. Simple as that. And so it depends on the perspective you're looking at. Macro perspective, I don't think it's super impactful, but I think if you are looking for like an altcoin retail heavy season, you're probably gonna have to wait a while.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this, right? Because in a lot of ways, I agree exactly what you're saying, Tyler. It's like, you know, institutions, this whole cycle has been very much the year of the institutions. We now have all these new ETFs that are coming on board: Solana, XRP, Litecoin, a bunch of mixed funds as well. So in a lot of ways, Bitcoin's going to do what Bitcoin's going to do, right? We had this huge jump up from low 50s all the way up to over 100 in a quantitative tightening cycle, right? The Fed's reducing their balance sheet, and kind of traditional thought process, and this is something that I harp on arguably probably too much on my channel, is a lot of these macroeconomic factors. And you would think that we would want to be flushing money into the system, i.e. quantitative easing, for Bitcoin to go up. Well, guess what? That has not been the case the past 2 years, right? The Fed's been taking money out. The other kind of thought that is in alignment with what you're saying, Tyler, is there's always a narrative for something, right? I know Benjamin Cohen really harps on this. He's more of a technical analysis guy, right? The chart's going to do what the chart's going to do, and then we will find a story or narrative to kind of attach to that, right? So, and I think the easy narrative right now is to talk about like tariffs, quantitative tightening. What are interest rates going to do this cycle? So I guess the other side of that coin is, and I think maybe some of this is me just kind of following my bias a little bit, because I do find the macro stuff kind of interesting, is it is going to be interesting as far as like what do these inflation prints really mean as far as like plain English. And kind of my thought this morning was, okay, inflation's a little bit higher. That's going to make it less likely that the Fed will reduce rates as much as possible. And then Jerome Powell yesterday said that, and this is really important, I want folks to hear this, he is not going to start quantitative tightening. He's not going to start quantitative easing until rates are near zero. But that does not mean that we will not stop quantitative tightening before rates are close to zero, right? So I know a lot of folks, there's a little bit of spook in the market yesterday when he said that. We don't need full-blown quantitative easing. Yes, that would be nice for the altcoins to just absolutely rip. We just need quantitative tightening to stop. And I'm going to go on a limb here a little bit. I think it's coming sooner than later. I think Powell is, and I don't want to get too political here, but he's facing kind of some influence from both sides, right? Senator Elizabeth Warren, yesterday, her opening speech was telling Powell, we need lower rates, right? And then obviously the folks on the other side, they love low interest rates. So I do think quantitative the stopping of quantitative tightening is going to be here before we know it, especially when we start talking about all of these increased bills to increase funding by $4 trillion. I think there could be a narrative there. And ultimately, we just need retail to kind of get back on board. And maybe this could be an excuse for retail to jump back on board, right? Oh, the money printer's back on. They all remember the memes from 2020. Maybe this could kind of be their green light to jump back in.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a bunch of sense. I would agree that probably quantitative tightening makes more of a difference than maybe interest rates do, at least in the immediate term, just because I've always kind of framed it as like the quantitative easing versus quantitative tightening is you're trying to like bet against the government, right? The government doesn't need to make money. The government doesn't need a return. All they want is to stabilize the markets. And so, if something's got, bad price to earnings, a bad, I don't know, whatever, bad fundamentals, all that type of stuff, government doesn't care. They're going to buy it anyway, right? And so that's usually, at least from my assumption or my bias, that's kind of why we saw a lot of things getting pushed into the crypto market, right? Is because if you looked at the stock market, it didn't really make a whole ton of sense. And some may argue that even it doesn't make a whole ton of sense now, but that's kind of a whole different type of can of worms to open, of course, right? But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens when we get there. I think more than anything, one of the things I think we're seeing in the market, and I think people hoping for alt season are kind of hoping for a little bit of maybe a little bit of something that may not actually come around, is because the crypto market, I think, is generally becoming more sophisticated, right? And so I think what we're seeing here is like, since the market is becoming more sophisticated, there are fewer and fewer people within the market who are like actually interested in these like vaporware coins, right? People are getting wise to the fact that some of these are actually vaporware and they're not going to do anything. And so people stay out of it. Right? And I think the only real, at least from my opinion, the only thing we've actually seen this cycle, and this cycle meaning this crypto cycle, is people have real conviction in Bitcoin for the first time, it feels like. This is the first cycle where people have been like, yeah, Bitcoin's it, and we're sticking with Bitcoin for the long term. And Bitcoin, right? We're seeing institutional adoption. Michael Saylor holds a bajillion Bitcoin, all this type of stuff. Like, we're starting to see people actually have real conviction in Bitcoin. And at least from my perspective, I don't know what you guys have seen from like your comment sections and communities and just looking around, but I don't know if you guys have seen something different. But to me, it all feels like people are trying to trade out into altcoins to essentially like get back more Bitcoin than they had when they started. And that seems to me to be the game. And when that's the game, it's hard to just like kind of have everybody just kind of pile into crypto and alts, because everybody's going to be looking to dump on everybody else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's just kind of a situation right now where it's like, my honest opinion is that there will become a point in time, right, where all of this shifts and everything changes, and I think to some degree, people are doing themselves a disservice when they do make those comparisons that we were talking about a little bit earlier, a little bit too much, right? Because one thing that I mentioned earlier was that eventually I think that 4-year pattern is going to break. And not to go too far off topic, but I've been thinking a lot about this recently. And it's just, to me, it's like, what if this kind of is the beginning of that shift, right? Because you can't expect that an asset class that's 12 years old or 14 years old or however is going to stay the same. Right? Of course it's going to change. Of course things are going to look different. Of course things are going to start looking a little bit different. Think about what tech looks like right now in comparison to 1999, 2000. It's all different. The way that it moves is different. The way that people invest in it, the way they value tech companies is different. And valuation is the core principle of stock market investing in period. Right? And so the way that I see it, just to kind of add a little bit of something there right now, is that people are starting to fall into this trap of like, well, it's different, so it has to be over, right? Like, okay, well, this bull market isn't the same as the last bull market, therefore it cannot be a bull market, therefore I will sell everything, right? And it's just like, to me, I'm just like, that's not, that. I kind of see the picture, right? I see the picture that people are trying to paint, but I don't particularly think that it's a true one. Earlier, Cade, you mentioned 2017, and you said that you saw some comparisons there. And what I want to do really quick, let me see if I can get this pulled up. If you could put my screen on real quick. what I want to show people is that, look, let's go here. Let's go to crypto charts. This is something that I look at a lot. We're going to go to return on investment. We're going to go to ROI after the bottom. Okay. Give me a second.
I've been having the same issue on these
ROI
exact same
after cycle
charts.
bottom. Here we go. Okay. So what we can see here is I actually want to go in and I want to make these comparisons, right? So we're going to look at cycle 3 and we're going to look at now. So we're going to get rid of 4, we're going to get rid of 2, we're going to get rid of 1. And we're really just going to zoom in to what's happened. The pink line is the current bull market that we're in. The orange line is the cycle that was roughly in between 2016 or, we could technically call it 2015 all the way up to 2017. And if you look at realistically how this has played out as a total market, and we're talking about Bitcoin because Bitcoin obviously leads the market, right? It's not that different, right? We are actually right around the same place. I mean, matter of fact, if we actually go back to, what day is this? The 19th, 20th of January, we were ahead of the 2017 market. And so what I'm under the expectation of is that, this market may be different, but it's not going to be that different, right? Because quite frankly, when people are saying, how do I say that? Is the bull market going to start, or is the bull market canceled, or the bull market over? What people are looking for is they're looking for the end of the bull market. That's what they're realistically looking for, because quite frankly, the bull market started a long time ago. The bull market started years ago. Whereas if you look at where we are now, we're approaching the end of it one way or another. Now, does that mean that everything has to go down? No, not particularly. Does that mean that everything has to stop pumping? No, not particularly. But when people are sitting here saying that they want the bull market is not going to happen, I think that's just not the truth. I think that the way that these cycles are going to start and end are going to look different. But the reality is that the middle looked very similar, right? And so, again, not to go off too much of a tangent here, but when you said 2017 earlier, Kate, I was just like, man, like, it is, from a macro perspective, it's similar. And from a technical perspective, it's similar. Just a little bit of differences in between, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting because you also mentioned this this time component, right? We're comparing 2017 cycles. The other interesting thing is, like, Bitcoin's now a $2 trillion asset, right? 2017, 2021, it was much smaller, right? So Bitcoin's growing. It does very much feel that this is the cycle of Bitcoin. And you're right. I see it in my comments all the time too. Folks, when altcoin season, when's it's happening? Well, there are all some alts that are hitting new all-time highs, right? Yeah. HBAR's doing really well. Sui's doing really well, amongst a bunch of others. So it is really interesting. We're talking a little bit about, like, is this cycle different? Is it the same? It's really going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, right? I didn't have it on my bingo card a couple of years ago that Larry Fink and Michael Saylor were going to be on the, every major news outlet all over Twitter, shilling Bitcoin, pumping our bags in a lot of different ways. So that's interesting. And if you look at gold, once their ETF was created, it did kind of create this elongated cycle, right? So I'd be lying to you if I said I had the answers, I'm trying to figure it out just like everybody else. But yeah, I do think, not to beat a dead horse. I know we were talking about, like, interest rate projections and stuff like that. I really like to look at the Bitcoin dominance. And Kate, I'm curious if there's any way maybe I could share my screen for just a second.
Yeah. I can add that in for you. There you go.
So Bitcoin dominance is, because I've asked myself, right, watching my alt bags kind of, erode over the past couple of weeks, is, man, we're sitting at roughly 61% Bitcoin dominance. I always think to myself, at some point, this has got to come down, right? We'll take a look at the weekly view. I always think, like, at some point, it's got to come down. So what's going to happen? Are we going to go back up to, like, a 70s? I don't know. I'm maybe a little skeptical of that, right? With all the new stable coins that we have in, we've been kind of floating in this channel. The thing that I kind of hold on to in a lot of ways is this has got to fall down at some point. Now, is it going to keep kind of racketing up? Are we going to keep getting all this press with Saylor and Fink and all these folks? Could it? I don't know. I do think we will get an altcoin season at some point. It's just going to be, when is dominance going to fall?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so many things happening in real time that it's almost impossible to say for sure, right? Here, let me pull that off for you. But it's almost impossible to say for sure, like, what is actually going to happen, right? Because I've heard the argument that like all of the like retail liquidity is basically being like sucked out of the market as soon as it enters because of things like pump.fun and meme coins and stuff like that. And the market has just gotten a lot more efficient at just pulling retail money right out of them the second it comes in the market, right? And that could be true. Yeah, I don't know. But also, I think there's another interesting thing happening as well, where we're seeing kind of this weird dichotomy of like, we're at the point right now where it's like people get Bitcoin, right? People understand why it's valuable. They understand what it does. They understand why you should hold it. Governments are adopting it. Institutions are adopting it. It makes sense to people, right? But the thing that we're not seeing is kind of the everything else in crypto, which is I think why Bitcoin dominance is still so high, is because people can get behind Bitcoin, they understand it, but now it's like, okay, well what's next? Is it Ethereum? Well, Ethereum can't really scale to internet levels, at least at this point. They're trying to go the layer 2 route. That's been, at least so far, pretty uninspiring. So we haven't really seen much out of Ethereum. Solana's been doing well, but Solana has its uptime issues and stuff like that. How do you value these things? Do you value them like a marketplace, like a Facebook that is kind of built more around kind of the network effect and the advertising dollars? Or is it built around something that's like an actual business that generates cash flow? The valuation for those two things are entirely different. Does DePIN have a place in this world? Does DeFi have a place in this world? Does RWA have a place in this world? And also, not only do they have a place in this world, but is it, how do they have a place in this world? Because one of the things I've been fairly skeptical about, just to kind of single in on one, is like, I'm a little skeptical on RWA because, and to clarify anybody who's not familiar with RWA, like real world assets, basically people are like, we're going to bring liquidity, we're going to bring assets, everything on chain. And the problem is if we don't see this kind of like, I guess it's like if we can't access it from like the liquid markets, then we get back to the same place, which is VCs will be VCs, banks will be banks. All these like RWA chains could be private blockchains that we don't even have access to. And all of the gains are going to be kind of out of reach from what we can see as like retail crypto investors. And then also it's like all we're going to be dealing with is kind of the vaporware coins that come in to play the narrative and don't actually really do anything useful.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, because you kind of touched on it, and I saw it in the chat as well. There's a narrative that's going around, I'm sure both of you have seen it, where everyone's like, there's too many coins, right? There's so many coins, there's pump.fun, there's all of this. That's the reason why nothing's moving. There's a couple of reasons why I at least don't think that's true, right? So reason number one is if you're saying that, I don't think you were around in 2021. Because in 2021, it was no different. And objectively, that's not true. In the sense that in 2021, there was objectively less coins than there are now. Why? It was harder to make them back then. But if you actually were a part of the space, what you know is that every single day, every single hour, there was brand new cryptos just popping up out of nowhere. And matter of fact, in 2021, those ones were jumping to like 10 million fast, like 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, which is not what we're seeing right now. And it's not even in proportion, right? It's not like we had 10 times less back then and now we're doing 10 times more on it. No, there simply was like what we're seeing right now is not even comparable to 2021 in the sense that, like, for example, if in 2021 we had 100, right? And in 2024 we had 1,000. Realistically speaking, if the same amount of liquidity was flowing into both of them, the total market cap, to some degree, dollars-wise, would grow the same amount, for the most part. There's obviously some exceptions. We have fees, slippage, blah, blah, blah. That's not making a big enough impact. In the sense that if the same amount of money was coming in to a bigger amount of cryptos, technically, the amount of money the market cap of total crypto goes up would be the same. It's not the same. We're not even seeing remotely the same amount of liquidity coming in. And people are there. This is a preliminary thought process because, quite frankly, retail investors don't make a difference until the very end. And I'm going to say that again. Retail investors don't make a difference until the very end. And I mean that in the sense that this bull market is going to go. That at the very end, retail will make a difference as they're going to be the ones who keep it pushing while institutions get out. What's not happening yet is that retail's not stepping in. It's not that there's too many cryptos out there and retail is just buying, but the market's just not moving because there's too many cryptos. No. Saturation does not change the overall amount, the sum, the accumulation of how much comes in. It's not how that works. And so the way that I see it is that people are blaming so many meme coins and not recognizing the true reason why we're not seeing the market move from a retail perspective or an altcoin perspective is because no one's buying them. The only reason we're in a bull market right now is because of institutions. Had institutions not stepped in 2024, we would not be in a macro bull market. I don't think so. I don't think we would even be at all-time highs yet. Who would have got us there? Realistically, if Michael Saylor and BlackRock and Fidelity and ARK21, if they didn't start buying, who would have got us this high? Because we only got to 70,000 when retail was buying. Who would have got us to $100,000 if we don't have the same levels as retail? So now the reason that I say this is because the way that I see it is we're hoping for something that's not there. Everyone's saying, oh, well, it's because of this, or it's because of this, it's because of Trump, it's because people don't have money. And the only way that people are going to have to get money or be able to get money is by the economy putting people in a perspective in which they can have more liquidity. And even when people have more money, quite frankly, it's going to take a while for them to just ape into a meme coin or ape into a retail or into an altcoin. It's going to take a while. Why? Because just 2 years ago, no one had money to pay for their bills. You think they're comfortable? No, of course they're not comfortable. They had to make big life changes. They lost a lot of things over the last few years. So it's going to take time. And so my general perspective is people are looking at the total market of crypto right now and saying that it's dead or it's this, the bull market's over, it can't be doing well because of something or because of reasons that aren't really, they don't make a ton of sense. And so I guess it kind of just gets under my skin a little bit because I'm like, look, if we go into a period in which the economy is in a bit of a better place, interest rates are dropping, quantitative easing is going, liquidity is going up. If all of these things are happening and we're seeing penny stocks in the stock market going up, we're seeing high risk real estate going up and crypto's not going up, then I'll digress. Then I'll be like, okay, it is different. But until we get in that position, you can't judge the big picture until the picture's painted. And so sorry for the tangent, but it's just, I don't think that narrative makes much sense to me.
Yeah, no, I'll let you jump in a sec, Doc. But I just forgot we've not pushed anybody to like the streams, share the streams, do all that type of stuff. If you're enjoying all of the conversation that we're having, just because we can get it out to more people can listen. Because I do think a lot of what we're talking about here is definitely important, and a lot of people. I mean, this is like probably 40% of the questions that I get overall. So it's like, it's a big thing that a lot of people want to know. So anyway, that's all. That's my little soapbox there. Doc, continue on.
Yeah, guys, like, comment, do all the things. Tyler, you mentioned something that Benjamin Cohen had talked about a day or two ago. And there's this concept of, retail, they're kind of maybe dipping their toes in the water, they see what's going on, and they're like, oh, nothing's changed, right? It's still this meme coin circus, right? The revolving door. And he kind of makes this argument that, back last cycle, 2021, we were building all these new things, right? NFTs were new. DeFi was kind of exciting again. And maybe this cycle, it more so seems like, oh, we are waiting for retail to come back. That is going to be our savior, right? We have we're talking about all these new tokens, right? I think the last number I heard was there's over 11 million tokens, which is kind of wild. I'll take just maybe 30 seconds to talk about that. I'm a capitalist at heart, and I think, let the market decide, right? If, we have all these tokens, 99.999% of them are going to die. And to your point, Tyler, and I agree, I don't really buy the new, there's all these new tokens narratives either, because yeah, there are a ton of new tokens. A bunch of them have a $400 market cap, right? They've been sold off. They're gone. Pump fund, revolving door style. So yeah, there is a lot more tokens out there, but they're dead, right? There's locked liquidity sitting on Radium. That's just going to kind of fluff up Solana's TVL. So yeah, I think the market will decide what are the best tokens, right? And we're seeing that, right? Everybody's talking about, the Ondos, the injectives, from earlier in the cycle. It's because these projects are doing something, right? There's a reason that Sui flew and hit new all-time highs, right? Same with HBAR, amongst other projects. It's because they're actually doing something, and retail is moving to there, or whoever, right? Whether it's retail or folks who have been here since 2019, they're moving to those tokens. And I saw in the comments someone mentioned, the majority of the money is in the top 10, the others, or even the top 100. And yeah, I think that is going to remain until we make a pivot. And what I mean by the pivot here is, we are playing in a very risk heavy space arena, right? Crypto is inherently risky compared to, the NASDAQ, the Russell, all those things. We may not recognize that because we're in it every day, right? We're kind of losing the forest for the trees. So folks are gonna spend money on proven projects until the market gets really frothy, right? True euphoria like we were in 2020, right? Where it was every day for several weeks, your favorite projects were going up 20, 30%. Like, again, for days. Until we get there, folks are gonna stay quote unquote risk off and keep their money in these big projects, right? Once we go into full blown, we're in alt season, you see every YouTuber talking about alt season multiple times a day, right? That's when these smaller projects are really, really gonna blow up. And I don't think we're there yet, right? From a macro perspective, like, folks see it on the news every day. Inflation higher than expected, less rate cuts projected this year. Are we going to have to increase rates? Which I agree with you, Tyler. I don't think we're going to have to do that. But these are things that folks are seeing every day, right? And it kind of puts it on the forefront of them. Gosh, maybe I should tuck some money away instead of buying the new dog, cat, whatever, turtle meme coin, So I think, this is me rambling, but I think the market needs to get more frothy. Investors need to have more confidence in the market before they really start slushing around in some of these more high risk plays.
And one thing I want to say real quick too, and just to kind of throw one more thing out there, is one thing that you said that reminded me was that I'm starting to also believe that there will be a period where max pain is actually the market going up. And I think we're getting very, very, I'm careful. You stop that. I'm careful when I say this because I don't want people to think I'm saying that the market's about to go up. But one thing that I am seeing is everyone saying, well, the market can't go up, right? Like, and even I'm saying here, it doesn't make a ton of sense for altcoin season, right, to start without retail being involved. One thing people have to remember, XRP absolutely flew in October and in November. And people were worse off a few months ago from an economic perspective, objectively, than they are now. And so with that in mind, the way that I see it is that sometimes it doesn't take it. It doesn't need the stimulus. It doesn't need anything. Things just happen. You think back to 2023, I believe it was. You look back to February, I think of March, April, May. Pepe launches, goes to $1 billion, sparks this random altcoin season in the middle of a bear market where Pepe's flying. Then we get Harry Potter, Obama, Trump coin e-news. They freaking pop up everywhere. There's hundreds of them. And next thing you know, you see tens of billions of dollars just flying across the altcoin market. And so I guess this is kind of like a caveat to what I myself feel, in the sense that it makes sense for this market to not do anything realistically until there is that liquidity, until there's that stimulus, until there's a reason for it to. But oftentimes this market does stuff that doesn't make sense. I've been here and we've been here long enough to know it does not make sense what happens in this market sometimes. And this is the reason why, although I don't think this market's going to do much until there's a reason for it to do much, I'm not selling, right? I'm not just going to start selling everything right now. I'm not going to stop dollar cost averaging, because with $11 billion worth of short sitting right above us, the market might just take off out of nowhere for no reason whatsoever. And I guess I wanted to throw that out there, is that I'm not bearish. Right, I don't think that the market's going to go down until interest rates start getting cut, because sometimes this market front runs, and it's a possibility. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, no, lots of things that I want to bring up there. I guess we'll start with maybe kind of coming back to the Solana meme casino type of thing, because one thing I think is important to note, and this is kind of one of the things I was thinking about earlier today too, is when you have something like Solana and all the memes and all that type of stuff. I heard a stat, I think it's like 98 or 99% of pump fund traders are not profitable, right? Like, it's some just freaking wild number. And so, but the reason why that's important is because you have to think, yes, there's billions and billions of dollars flowing through that ecosystem, but it's not like it goes in and then it comes out. right? It just goes in and then stays in forever. Because if I, put $20 on a meme coin and make 100 grand, I might pull a little bit out, right? But generally, people are so greedy that when it comes in, they're like, oh my gosh, well, now I've got 100 grand. I'm going to go turn this 100 grand into $4 million, and I'm going to retire my entire family off of, poo coin or whatever it might be at that point in time. And so I think that's what's important to note is like, even though it looks like there's a lot of money being drained there, and of course there's some is, a lot of it I think is going to be a general level of like, people are just, it's all in there. Once it goes in, it just kind of stays. And so that's one thing I want to talk about. The other thing you guys were talking about was regarding XRP. XRP was interesting because I feel like XRP was the first time and only time in the recent history, I would say, that we actually saw a like alt season type of mentality, right? I mean, people are talking about how XRP is going to go to $100 and it's crazy. And like, you just take a look at like the market cap and you realize that $100 on XRP is probably not going to happen, right? It's crypto, so never say never, but like probably never going to happen. So there's a lot of that going on. But then also one thing that's important with like kind of how alt season works, because this is one thing that I talk about all the time. And this is where I think this cycle, maybe I'll get in trouble, right? For saying this cycle could be different, but maybe that's where this cycle could be different, is because Bitcoin's getting to a point where it's kind of being institutionalized. And with institutions usually aren't aiming for a 30x or a 50x or any of that type of stuff, right? And of course, also you just have the institutions overall, like when more liquidity floods into it, it makes it harder. Like, you have $100 billion market cap and you put another $100 billion into it, the price doubles. You've got $1 trillion market cap, you put $100 billion into it, the price goes up by 10%, right? So it's, as you get bigger, the returns get smaller. And so one of the reasons why I've kind of thought about this a little bit is like, usually, at least from my perspective, altcoin season starts because something crazy has happened and people have made a ton of money, right? When Bitcoin goes up 50%, meh, right? Like, that's cool. Like, that's definitely outperforming like the stock market, but that's not like, oh my gosh, man, you're talking to your friend at like the movie theater or something. You're like, oh my gosh, man, I put $400 into Bitcoin and now I've got 10 grand. That's so cool. Like that's realistically probably not going to happen ever again on Bitcoin. Maybe over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, possibly, but like in the span of a couple of weeks, probably not going to happen. And so what I think we maybe need to see, and kind of to your point, Tyler, when you were talking about Pepe, you need something. And I think people are thinking it's going to be Bitcoin, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case. But you need something to kick off where the gains just kind of blow people's mind, right? We kind of saw this a little bit with Solana, when Solana went from like $8 or $12 or whatever it was to like 200. And then we saw kind of that like Solana alt season kickoff. We saw NFTs come back on Solana. Nobody ever thought they would come back, but they did on Solana specifically because it was a little bit of like an isolated thing there, right? And so there's things like that happening that I think this is where this cycle could maybe be a little bit different, is because we need some sort of catalyst that blows people's minds, and that's what gets retail and whoever else interested, is because they want that, like they want the gains basically.
Well, 100%. And I mean, just to throw in there, you got to think about it, right? Like, if Ethereum would have made the move that XRP made, we would have entered into an altcoin season to some degree. Why? Let's just kind of break this down. Why? The money that flowed into XRP was more from a utility basis, right? XRP had consolidated for so long. Everybody invested in XRP because they wanted XRP. They were excited about specifically XRP, and there wasn't a natural progression downstream, right? You take your money out of XRP, you make your profit, then what? I don't know. There's some XRP memes, right? We had like Phoenix and a couple of those ones, and they hit like 100 mil, 150 mil. But look at what happened with Solana. Solana took off from $8 to $12, all the way up to $100, $130 before we started to see its TVL growing and then the ecosystem growing. Why? Because the underlying asset that supported the ecosystem grew. Therefore, the projects that are supported by that underlying asset also grew. So it kind of sparked this little mini altcoin season, very similarly to what we saw with, in 2021 on like BNB based cryptos, right? Or BSC based cryptos. Now, in addition to that, when Solana ran, there was also a period in the end of December of 2023, the beginning of 2024, if my brain's holding up well, in which we also saw neighbors catching momentum. And so Solana catches momentum, starts doing really well. What happened? Then AVAX starts doing well. And then you obviously have Kaki and You and all of these other ones, these AVAX-based meme coins. Now they're doing well. So in the beginning of 2024, we saw what an altcoin season can look like under the right circumstances. Under the right circumstances, you see something spark it, the downstream starts, and then the neighbors start taking impact, and then everything goes up. But the only way that this happens is if retail has enough money to support the chaos. Because while some people are making a lot of money, some people are losing a lot of money. And quite frankly, if those people who are losing a lot of money don't have enough money to throw back in to chase the FOMO, eventually everyone's going to lose, and it's over time it's going to die off like it did in 2023, like it did in 2024, and like it did with XRP, which is in a situation in which there was no natural downflow from XRP, right? It didn't flow anywhere realistically. And so the way that I see it is that under the right circumstances, we can see a real altcoin season pop off, and with retail, in which retail really fuels the progression. But until we see them have a lot of money, we might get those little periods like at the end of 2023, 2024. We might see these moments where stuff just jumps off for absolutely no reason. But I don't think that big kabang happens until we see retail capable of facilitating the movement that we had in a much more of a grand perspective, I guess. So,
and I'm curious too, you know, we're talking about like, what is this event that needs to happen for folks to kind of make that switch? I'm curious if it's these altcoin ETFs that are on the horizon. I'm curious if that could be the quote unquote pivot where folks are like, oh, I can make that mental switch now, right? The XRPs, the Litecoins, the Solanas. And I'm curious, and again, I'm asking this because I generally don't know, but I'm curious if that is the domino that creates this switch for dominance to really fall down. And then the other thing you mentioned is, you know, retail. When's retail coming back? And, you know, we're kind of talking, you know, folks, right? Folks need to have the quote unquote wealth effect in some ways to kind of want to play in riskier meme coins. I'm also curious too. I'm looking at the USDT market cap chart. I'm curious, you know, I think that could also contribute to some money floating back in. I know that at the end of 2022, going into 2023, it was roughly $60 billion. It's ballooned all the way up to 141, almost $142 billion. So that could contribute to some money coming in as well. I guess the things that I'm looking at, and again, I'm saying this like I know what I'm talking about, and this is just my own hypothesis, but I'm curious if these altcoin ETFs, if they can kind of spark or throw some gas on the fire a little bit. I think if we could see that, and then we could see USDT dominance fall a little bit, would that be enough? And I'm genuinely curious your guys' take on this. Do you think that would be enough to kind of get that altcoin, that season that we're all looking for?
What you got, Kate?
It's hard to say, right? I mean, I think there's got to be a lot of things that kind of come together at once for something like this to happen. I think some of it's macro. I think some of it's psychological. I think some of it is fundamental. Like there's a lot of things that kind of have to come together at once. And like, I don't think we should underplay any of them, right? And because I think part of what could be potentially happening here is maybe there's just like a general level of like overall apathy in the market too, just towards crypto. That's kind of like aside, like from what I was saying, the very kind of somewhat isolated XRP run, no one really cares about crypto except for the people in crypto, right? And so I think that's important to note. And one thing that that's one thing that I'm trying to like figure out here as well, because part of like what Tyler was saying earlier on is kind of alluding to Max Payne. Right. And I think Max Payne is going to be very important because like, I don't know about you guys, you probably have, but I've seen an insane amount of whining in my comment section over the past 3 or 4 weeks, particularly. Right. I mean, there's so many people. Oh, it's a cycle top. Oh, you have no clue what you're talking about. Assuming these guys aren't just trolling, they've probably sold a lot of their altcoins and crypto out of fear. So not only is Max Payne down when people have money in the market, But max pain can also be up when they've pulled their money out of the market and they just sold something at a 60% loss because they're too impatient to wait. And then when it goes up 10x, they're like, oh my gosh, the world's ending, and now they revenge trade and FOMO and do all this type of stuff. Like, I don't think people understand that is also max pain. They're like, the perception of missed opportunity is just as strong of a motivator as the perception of missed or like risk, or I guess potential loss, right? So something to consider there as well.
Well, the way that I look at it, right? The fact of the matter is that up until the end of the bull market, everything is about Bitcoin. It's just the way that it goes. It's not that I'm a Bitcoin maxi. And I'll be honest with you, the longer I've stayed in crypto, the more I like Bitcoin and the least I like everything else. But it's just the way that this thing goes. Bitcoin leads the market until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, that's the end of the bull market. And that's not just a crypto thing. That's just the way markets work. Your anchors, right? Which are your more stable, predominant thing. And you can look at it however you want, right? Whether that's your major players in the stock market, whether that's macro real estate, whatever it may be, right? The big things lead until the small things take over. And the small things, when they take over, they're so fragile that eventually they crumble. The bull market ends. It's just how it goes. It's how it's gone throughout history. It starts very stable. It starts very dominant. It trickles down to the small risky stuff, and then everything ends. It's just how this goes. And everyone's screaming that the bull market's over because altcoins aren't performing well. And my question is, the altcoins right now are not in control of the market. So what altcoins do don't matter. And I know that kind of sucks. And as somebody who has 50% of my portfolio in altcoins, it definitely hurts. It doesn't feel good seeing my altcoin bags go down, but the altcoins are not the ones in control. What is Bitcoin doing? Because what it's doing is determining what the market's doing. So if you could share my screen real quick, I want to kind of show something real quick.
I think you took it down.
Oh yeah. Let me go ahead and share that real quick.
And just to add on that while you're getting that shared, like one of the things that I agree with that as well is like, it's not like I want to lose money, right? Like I'm in the market because I also want to make money, but I actually understood the risk that I was taking when I got in, which is why I'm not super concerned right now. I think everybody whining and crying, probably they didn't really maybe completely understand that. Also, before I show you, Muhammad, I think he's onto something. I think we should just completely change our channels and we should just start like bear posting constantly.
Yeah.
And the market makers watch our channel.
Definitely.
So, anyway, there's your screen.
Again, not to harp on this. What Bitcoin does determines what the crypto market does, especially in a market that's run by institutions at this point, because without the institutions, we wouldn't be in a bull market. You all know that. But when I go look at something like Bitcoin, this is really the picture that I keep trying to paint for people that people just don't seem to understand. Bitcoin's in control of the market. What Bitcoin does determines what the market does. Someone explain to me what's so bad. That's all that I ask, is someone explain to me what's so bad. Because quite frankly, it was worse here. It was similar there. Substantially worse there. What is it? The fact that we don't have any macro catalysts approaching? We didn't right here. Oh, well, we had the halving yet in 9-10 months. And is it because people just don't have something to look forward to? Maybe. But at the end of the day, what Bitcoin does determine what the market's doing. And Bitcoin is still sideways and in the same place that it was when everybody was excited, calling me all day long, telling me about something called Ripple. Where Bitcoin was, right here, I was running into people in real life who were asking me if they should invest in the XRP. Now, everyone's talking about how crypto is a scam. The craziest part is we are in the same exact place. Bitcoin is in control of the market. And until Bitcoin makes a determined break in either direction or loses market structure, this market's not over. Sure, it's taking some time. That's what's going to happen in an expanding asset class. Things are going to take longer. Growth will take longer. It will be harder to accomplish. And it's not just my opinion. That is objectively the truth. If you look at the way that every single cycle has played out, you can see that it takes longer. The bigger something gets, the slower it is to move. Market 1 got up here. Look how much longer market cycle 2 took to get to the same place. Market 2 to market 3. Look at how much longer it took for it to get to not even the same place because it was diminishing returns. Market 3 to market 4. This one, a little bit different because we had, what's it called? Stimulus, right? But if you look at the way in which it It went. Look at the sideways movement here. Look at how long it took. And then you look at market 4 to market 5. We're not that far off. And we're looking at Bitcoin. And so the way that I see it, with everyone whining and crying and et cetera, is the likelihood is they got here in November. They didn't recognize how ugly it gets. It's very difficult. It's a very hard market to be a part of. It's a very hard market to make a living on. But at the end of the day, it's just a market that we all signed up for. And so you can't get too wrapped up into this mindset that, oh my God, nothing's ever going to recover, because history says everyone who bought Bitcoin before November in its whole entire history and left it alone is in profit. So just wait. That's the way I see it. Just calm down and be patient. But obviously, that's easier said than done.
Never would I have thought that people would, the sentiment would be so bad when Bitcoin's nearing 100 grand, right? Like in 2020, if you were to tell your future self, hey, Bitcoin's going to be over 6 figures and there's going to be massive fear in the market, you'd be like, what? I'm not buying that at all. So yeah, I echo exactly what you guys are saying. It's, we all signed up for this, right? If you want these outsized returns, you're going to have to play in an arena that is inherently more risky, right? So you can't like have your cake and eat it too type of thing. They're kind of connected in a lot of ways. One thing that I just is, if it's cool, Kate, if I can share my chart, this is maybe the last thing I'll mention before I head out, is this social metric, because I know we're talking about retail and all this. This is one of the charts on Into the Cryptoverse that tracks a whole bunch of different social metrics, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, different exchanges to Twitter and folks like that. And right here, we're like, social risk is pretty low, right? I think we're less than 0.3. So just for reference, guys, this goes from 0.0 to 1.0. And you can see, right, in the last bull market, social risk was really high. It was above 0.9, just to give you guys some reference. In April, that first cycle peak, peak in that cycle, it was almost 1, right? Now we're below 3. So is retail going to come back? Well, market history would say that, like, yeah, it probably is. We've seen these dips before, but it's just going to take some time. And to that, this is, again, kind of what we all signed up for. It's a bumpy ride, but this is how you're able to talk to your friends and say, oh yeah, I just 10, 20, 30, 50x'd my money on this new DeFi play or this new meme coin play. So kind of my short-winded thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think we're kind of all on the same page there. It's just funny to me that, who would have thought that we'd see, what is it, $96,000 Bitcoin or whatever we're sitting at right now, and people are just so upset. And the other thing that I think is worth mentioning here is, like, if you're mad that your altcoins are down, right? Because like I have several altcoins where I'm like, this is fantastic. I actually didn't think I'd see prices like this before, like, I don't know, years from now, potentially, right? Like if you're like crying that your bags are down, do you really believe in them? Because like if you're crying while your bags are down, like you clearly have done something wrong. And like that's probably a personal question that you should figure out amongst yourself to figure out why that is. But like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I have high conviction on, like when we saw a crash on Bitcoin, it went down to like the low 90s. I was buying Bitcoin. I wasn't selling my Bitcoin because price hasn't gone up only. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so I think that's like I think that's something that we also should probably highlight as well, as like, that, have some conviction.
Why'd you buy them?
Yeah. Have some conviction and maybe expand your time horizon, right? If you're just investing for the next month or two, it's going to be a bumpy ride. But if you say, hey, I plan on holding high quality tokens and I'm okay with holding these for the next 5 years, 4 or 5 years, well, then this becomes easy, right? You can just zone back, look at the chart, right? Bitcoin was 16, 17,000 a couple years ago, right? Not that long, 2-3 years ago. And now we're above 100. So I unfortunately have to leave, but I genuinely appreciate you guys having me on. Cade, awesome. Congrats to 5K. Tyler, you're obviously killing it. Loved sharing the space with you guys. We will maybe we'll have to do this again shortly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks, man. And we'll just so everybody who's watching knows, all of Doc's links are in, I think, both of our streams descriptions. So definitely check Doc out. He's got good content, really, really good content. So yeah, definitely give him a look.
Yeah. And
appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely, bro. Much appreciated, man.
Good to see you, man.
One thing that I just gotta say, it's like I just want to issue a question to my audience and your audience is, why'd you buy it?
Yeah.
I know it's that simple, but I would like to take a second and just let people genuinely think. And if you're fine, if you got thick skin, this isn't for you. Maybe go grab some Skittles or something. But for the people who are just wham crying in the chat, right? Why'd you buy it? Think about it. There's 3 reasons why you buy a crypto. 1, you want to make money. 2, you believe in the crypto. 3, both. That's really it. At the core, though, at the core of why we invest, we all want to make money. No one says, oh, I believe in Sweet. I'll never sell Sweet. I'm going to buy Sweet and never sell it. I'll be exit liquidity for anyone who wants me to be because I love Sweet so much. We all want to make money. The question that I have is that if the reason as to why you truly bought it, and there's 3 reasons why you might have bought it, but the reason you truly bought it was to make money. Okay. What does the price going down really affect? Let's think. Okay. Well, if the price goes down, that means that I'm probably going to lose a little bit of money. Well, how do I lose that money? Well, I lose that money if I sell that crypto right now. If I just leave the crypto alone and it goes up, then I'll probably make money. So the reason why you bought it, if you're sad about that, was because you wanted to make money fast. That's what you wanted, quite frankly. You wanted to make money fast. You wanted to either make money in a week, you wanted to make money in 3 weeks, you wanted to make money in 2 months. I got bad news for you. Go look at the history of crypto. Matter of fact, Kate, let's show on my screen real quick. Hold on 1 second. Let me just do this. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. I apologize in advance. Let's look at crypto. Let's go look at Bitcoin. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the weekly performance of crypto. I got bad news for you. I got some pretty ugly news for you. If you look at the way crypto performs, it ain't all that fun. If your goal is to make money fast in crypto, which is the only reason you'd be being a crybaby right now, which is what you're doing. I'm sorry, but someone had to tell you you're being a crybaby. It's because you were trying to make money very fast and you played a game of roulette. That's what you did. You flipped a coin and hope for the best. Why? 50% of the time in crypto, we're in a bullish period. 50% of the time in crypto, we're not making money. We went years right here, not really making money. And about a year there making money. We then went, let's try to get this zoomed out. A while not making money, a while losing money. Then we had a little period where we made some money. But quite frankly, this isn't how this works. You don't just jump in and you just start making money immediately. You're going to roll the dice and you might make money or you might lose money. But the truth of the nature is that if you just wait, you will very, very, very likely make some money. That's what history says. It's not what Tyler's saying. It's just what history says. History says if you wait out these periods where things are bad, things are good, and things are boring, you will make money. But if your goal was to make money fast, you played a game in which you rolled the dice and, well, you landed on bullshit. I'm sorry. It's not our fault. It's just what happened. And so my question is, well, if you're crying right now, it means you're still around. And now you've taken a step in the right direction. I mean, you're crying, you're kind of being a bit of a crybaby in the chat, but you're still around, and I'm proud of you for that because most people just leave. And I got bad news for you. Now you're a long-term investor. You went from hoping that you were going to make money in the short term, then you became a long-term investor. And the good part about that is it's going to suck. It's going to be brutal. It's going to kind of be ugly for a while. You're going to have very bad days, very good days. But over the long term, you'll probably win. And so that's why, sometimes I see the comments of people getting very upset and mad. And I'm proud of them because I'm like, you know what? Even though you're being a crybaby, you're still around. And the people who are still around go from crybabies to veterans. Because we were all crybabies at one point. We were all crybabies. Dude, in 2017, 2018, I was a crybaby my damn self. I'm 19, it's at 18 years old, 19 years old. I'm down like 90% on everything that I bought, and I'm just pissed. I'm blaming everybody and their grandmother for the fact that I was down on money. And then I just kind of stuck it out. I was like, you know what? I don't care. How about that? I don't care anymore. I just went on about my day, went to school, went to college, did my thing, and then eventually I realized, oh, wow. The crybaby phase ends, and then eventually you recognize it's not going to last forever. And then eventually you look back on yourself like, damn, I was really being a little bit of a drama queen. I was being really, really dramatic back then because, quite frankly, when you zoom out a bit, it wasn't all that bad. And so those of you who are crying, I can't wait to have a conversation with you when you realize how dramatic you're being. Because one day you'll realize you're being a drama queen. And I'm not, I make light of the situation. I'm not trying to make fun of you because, listen, I do genuinely understand some people are in rough financial situations. And you look at crypto as an escape to be able to get out of that rough financial situation. But the problem with that is that you're choosing a very, very risky asset class, right? You're gambling at the end of the day. Because if you're trying to use crypto as your escape out of a sticky situation, you're gambling. You could do it on roulette, but you know what's not going to happen? You're not going to go to the casino with your last $10,000, and you're not just going to go start beating up all of the dealers because you lost, right? You're just going to go home, take your L like a man, and figure it out. And that's the way you have to look at it. And so for those of you who are in rough financial situations, I need you to understand it gets worse than this. It gets substantially worse than this. When a bear market comes, which it will come, it's going to get, you don't understand. It's excruciating. It's worse. So you just have to understand that this is the game you chose to play. It's the game I chose to play. It's the game Cade chose to play. But if you stick it out, properly manage your risk, you don't put in too much money that you can't afford to lose, as cliche as that is, and you relax, you'll be in a good spot. So I'm sorry for the tangent, but the comments get a little crazy during times like this, and well, I like to pick on the crybabies a little bit.
Yeah, no, I do too for that exact same reason, because my response to a lot of these guys kind of ultimately ends up being something like, you think this is bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like, we are at almost $100,000 Bitcoin. Like, if you think this is bad, you have a whole nother thing coming. So, like, that's the thing you have to really, like, make sure that you're paying attention to. And also, it's just, Tyler said it best. If you wouldn't take this money into a casino and throw it all on black, probably shouldn't be doing it. Because that's ultimately what it is. And realistically, crypto's hard. Like, you might actually be better going and putting your money on black, because at least you got an almost 50% win rate there, right? Like, it's hard. Like, it might be, it might be kind of like a tough reality there, but like that's the thing is, like, you have to make sure that you have conviction, you understand what you're buying, and if you're looking for a quick buck, like, it's gonna be rough, because, like, and let's be honest, like, here's the thing, like, if you're going and you're investing in fart coin, like, you're not telling me that the utility of fart coin is like something that is going to bring mass adoption to crypto, right? Like, we get it, I get it, everybody gets it. You're trying to basically buy a lottery ticket, which is totally fine, but it should be viewed as such, is that you're buying a lottery ticket, and that 999,000 of the million people that buy lottery coins is actually probably more than that lose. So just make sure that, like, you're paying attention, you're really kind of taking that to heart. So
100%. And look, I feel like I kind of beat on kick a dead horse, beat a drum. I don't know what the saying is, but I feel like I repeat the same things over and over again. You know what's funny? I'm working on a compilation right now, just for funsies. I probably won't do anything with it, where I'm going back to every time the market crashed, and I'm going clip the times where I said basically this exact same thing: 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. It all turned out the same way. The way that this goes is that it's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be bad, it's not gonna be fun, it's gonna be boring, we're gonna get annoyed, we're gonna get impatient, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Your girlfriend's gonna say that you lost all your money playing in a little stupid little game for kids. Everything's gonna happen. Then it's gonna start to pick up a little bit. Things are gonna start looking interesting. Things are gonna look better and better and better, and then eventually, the market will run. Some of the things you invested in will do good. Some really won't go that far. You'll have to reinvest what some of the, you'll have to kind of shift and rotate your portfolio around a little bit. You'll take some profits, You'll be a veteran. You'll make money. That might take a couple months, might take a year, might take 2 years. No one really knows. It doesn't matter. If you're in crypto, you need to understand it's a long game. Because if you don't want to play the long game, start leverage trading. Which you might as well do, honestly. Because if you're accumulating spot bags for short-term gains, you're literally playing Russian roulette with 4 bullets. Like, you're gonna lose a lot of the time. So you might as well just leverage trade. I don't think you should, but you might as well. Maybe you'll win more. But if you just wait, you'll be fine. And so one question I guess I have, just kind of shifting, because I feel like I've been harping on this for a minute, Cade, for you, is that obviously we have PPI data coming in tomorrow. I've been a big advocate on my channel that the macroeconomic situation is very important right now. We're past catalyst season. We don't have the election. We don't have the halving. We don't have the ETF announcement. We don't have any of those things to really get people excited. Obviously, there's strategic reserves. Obviously, there's the opportunity for institutions to invest in altcoins. That's just maybe going to happen. No one knows for sure that's going to happen, right? So I guess 2 parts to this question is, one, do you agree that the macroeconomic perspective is more important now than it's been for the last year? Because that's kind of my take. And then 2, what are you somewhat expecting from PPI, right? Anything different? Do you think it's going to really matter? I feel like CPI is what everyone cares about. So will PPI even make a difference? Kind of curious your thoughts. And everybody, if you don't know, Cade is my financial advisor. Everything he tells me to do, I do. And whatever he tells you is financial advice. So just prefacing his answer here.
Yeah, just to add to that, we've got a comment here from Steiner. So anyway, I guess I can't smile anymore because I'm in fact not a financial advisor. But,
yes, he is.
But yeah, I think what we're gonna see. I was actually getting into an argument with a guy in my comment section the other day about how he was thinking that CPI was going to come in high and then the market was going to crash. And I was like, well, yeah, it probably is. But also, I think everybody thinks it is, which means it's already priced in. And what happened? CPI came in, it was high, and the market went up. Wow, crazy. I know. So I think we'll probably see something similar with PPI. The only thing, I was reading an article today kind of going over all the like different economic things that we're going to be seeing this week. And one of the things that they said about PPI that I thought was a little bit interesting was the only difference we might see with PPI potentially is potentially a stockpiling of goods, assets, things like that, because of the threat of tariffs coming. Mm-hmm. And so we may see an increase in spending on people trying to hoard some of their like immediate supplies, because a lot of the world runs on like the just in time, type of model where they try not to hold too much inventory. They try not to go too crazy on things like that, because obviously if you have a lot of inventory, you need to pay for a place to store that inventory. It costs more, which drops your profits. And so if you can keep it to a point where you receive things exactly as you need them, you use them and move along, then obviously much better. This is why, like during COVID, we saw, the toilet paper shortage, and some of these other crazy things. Because usually people aren't going to hoard toilet paper, and so it comes in as it goes out, and the holding costs on these things are very low. And so potentially what we may see due to the threat of tariffs is PPI may look a little bit different because of that. Again, I probably feel like this is priced into the market, right? I don't understand why it wouldn't be. Just because like this is not like 300 IQ stuff we're talking about, right? Like it's pretty common knowledge. And so I think that's where we could be seeing some potentially different things. But yes, I would agree largely that the people really only care about PP or a CPI, excuse me. And so, yeah, I don't really expect too much, crazy stuff to be going on there.
Sure. Yeah. And it's funny. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I made a post on my Twitter yesterday. And I said, maybe I could find it. I said, let's see. I said the next 48 hours are going to be very interesting. CPI and PPI data will very likely be the disguise that the lizard people use to cover their liquidity hunts. Not a bad time to deleverage and prioritize risk management. Strap in. What do you see? Right. What people really need to understand is that, listen, dude, if I had my aluminum foil hat in here, I'd put it on. But these markets are manipulated. They're built against retail investors. That is objectively true. In in ecosystems and in asset classes that are gaining, where in which you actively can see institutions gaining more and more and more control of the asset class, that is now an asset class that is built against retail investors. Why? Do you genuinely believe that institutions want you to win with them? No, that's what makes them institutions. They get so big because you lose. If everybody wins, they wouldn't be big, they wouldn't make money, they would not grow. And so in situations like this, the best thing to do, in my opinion, and Kate, I'm curious about if you agree with me, is now is not the time to be on risk. Now is actually the time to deleverage even more, quite frankly. I think now's the time to deleverage even more. If you're dollar cost averaging, dollar cost average more into Bitcoin. If you're leverage trading, reduce your leverage that you're trading on. If you're investing into meme coins, stop, probably. Like, relax a little bit and let this market play out. Because right now, Bitcoin is in control. And it's going to tell us what's going to happen here. And so my perspective on all of this is just to focus on Bitcoin. I don't really give a shit what happens with basically anything else. I don't really care what altcoins do. I don't really care what meme coins do. It doesn't really make a difference to me. Bitcoin's telling us. And I think Bitcoin is relying on macro input, institutions, economic factors, things like that. Do you agree? Do you think that's the focus right now?
Yeah, well, so I think one of the things that we saw kind of in the November, December timeframe is this was kind of like, this was the consensus thing, right? Is like, wait, stay in Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, wait for signs of life in kind of the alts before we start to like move or reallocate. And I think we saw kind of a little bit of a fake out there, right? When in that kind of November, December timeframe, people really started going nuts buying everything. And as we've seen, Bitcoin dominance has broken and held new highs compared to what it was back in November and December. So clearly Bitcoin dominance has not stopped rising and it's actually continuing to rise. So we just kind of have to wait, kind of wait for that to top. And so I'm interested to see kind of how that works. Yeah. I mean, de-risking, I think is something that right now I am only buying into things that I have 100% complete conviction in. And I am willing to bag hold for years and years at a time. Like maybe, if things go up, I won't and I will sell, but I'm prepared mentally to bag hold these things for a very long time, right? So that looks a lot like a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of Ethereum, a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Solana, and then a decent bit of ICP because I'm hugely bullish on ICP. But that's a whole, that's a whole different question there. But like those are the things that I'm looking at. Leverage trading, for all intents and purposes, I'm kind of not really doing too much of, just because right now it's one of those things where you can low leverage trade. But again, if market structure breaks, which isn't completely out of the question, right? We could be sitting at the top. I don't really believe that, but we could. And if market structure breaks, then that obviously hurts a little bit, right? So, but also you can't trade tight leverage either because you see rogue wicks happening all of the time. And all it takes is one to liquidate you. So you have to be, very, very careful with that. And yeah, so I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing is kind of, low leverage, low risk, DCAing into stuff that I believe in long-term and probably would buy anyway. So when prices go down, it's just, I'm going to get more for what I was going to put in anyway.
Yep. Better prices. And look, I want to actually share something. I didn't know if I was going to share this on stream or not, but I'm going to. If you could share this.
Yep.
So I actually, and I'm not about to shill, I will shill later. You know me. I am shamelessly going to shill some shit at the end of the stream, but not right now. But over in the school, I actually decided that I wanted to start a brand new portfolio because there's this constant thought process that now there's no way to make money in crypto, right? Like, oh, well, if you didn't buy during the bear market, you're not going to make money, yada, 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 a bunch of nonsense. And there's one of two options right now. We're either at the top of the bull market or we're not at the top of the bull market. That means that I'm going to make money in the long term or I'm going to make money in the short term. That's the way that I look at it, right? And so I was like, you know what I want to do? Right now, while everyone's pessimistic and everyone's pissed and everybody's worried and everybody's screaming that the bull market's over, yada, 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 I'm going to make a brand new portfolio and I'm going to show people exactly what I'm doing. If I was to make a brand new basic beginner portfolio, this is exactly how I would do it. And I actually want to share that with you. So earlier today, I started a brand new crypto portfolio. I started it with $10,000. The dollar amount does not matter. You could divide this by 100. You could divide it by 200. You could divide it by 1,000. You could divide it by 10,000 if you just want to invest $1. It does not matter. And what I'm doing is I'm actually showing, because it's one thing to tell people, it's another thing to do it, right? And so my thought process is I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show you in 3 or 4 years, I'm going to show you this portfolio and be like, I told you, if you have patience and a strategy, you can make money in crypto. So this is what I'm doing. I started with $10,000. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different cryptos, and I left $9,075 in cash. Okay. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to the way that I broke this down. I put $500 into Bitcoin. Also, this is not me telling you to do this. This is purely what I am doing. Kay's your financial advisor, not me.
Here, I'll cue the banner for you. I know how much you like the banner.
So I put $500 into Bitcoin. I put 100 into ETH, 100 into Solana, 75 into SWI, 50 into XRP, ADA, XLM, and 25 in XLM, 25 in HBAR. Why did I do it this way? Well, the reason why I did it this way is because I believe that we are in a Bitcoin dominant market. I've said it 4,000 times this stream. I don't need to explain that. So as you can see, I put about 50%, a little bit more than that, 55 something percent into Bitcoin. I then took another roughly 22, 23%, and I put it into the top, I guess you could throw XRP in there, and, $250 into the top 4, top 5. And then I separated a small amount, minuscule amounts of my total portfolio into some of these altcoins. Now, the reason that I still want to get into this is because these guys are in discounted prices, right? These ones are at a discount. Whether or not they go down or not doesn't change the fact that it's a discount. People don't understand that. You look at something like SWI right now, and they say, well, imagine if SWI did this, right? Let's go to the dailies. Imagine if SWI did this. SWI's price is where it is right now. It comes all the way down. It falls all the way to $1.70, and then it works itself over time back up towards the upside. Just because I bought it right here, just because it fell, doesn't mean that this wasn't a discount. You get what I'm saying? It's still a discount. It's just not a great discount. If you buy a candle from Bed Bath & Beyond for 30% off, and then you buy, and then a month and a half later, it goes on discount for 50%, doesn't mean you bought it at a bad time. It just means there could have been a better time, but it doesn't mean you should go return it. I'm not going to start, but you get the point. Anywho, so what I decided to do was that I went in and I allocated like this. Now, there's a couple things I want you to pay attention. Thing number one is the fact that I predominantly went more into the bigger ones. And the reason why I did that is because now is a time to deleverage. This is not a time to be doing big things on tiny, risky things. You can see here, there's no leverage trades, there's no options, there's nothing. I specifically just went in and bought some very basic stuff. Very basic. There's nothing complicated about any of this. These are all very popular. Now, I am going to add some ondos and I am going to add some stuff over time, but you get the point. All right. The second thing that you'll notice is look how much cash I left on the side. I don't know whether or not this is the top of the bull market or not, but I don't think so. Okay. So my preparation here is I'm going to do this. Okay. If it's not the top of the bull market, I need to put enough money in to make a difference. For example, if the crypto market doubles from here, I will have made a 20% return. How? My 1,000 roughly that I put in went to 2,000. Cool. 20%, or, the total portfolio went up 1,000. You get the point. I'm not going to keep doing this, but you get the point, right? We climbed 10%. If the bull market ends and it goes down, I have 90% of my cash left over to be able to invest throughout the bear market, lower my dollar cost average, and make it easier to end up in profit. And so if people, me and Cade, we can sit here and talk about deleveraging and focusing on Bitcoin and all these other things. But you can see what I mean. I didn't just do this. I did this hours ago, over 7-8 hours ago. We're not just talking. This is what we do. And I hope this is a good representation of what we're saying to you, is that, look, this time is risky. This is a moment where, it is a little bit of a worry, right? The bull market might be over, even though we don't think it is. But that doesn't mean it's time to freak out. It doesn't mean that it's time to sell everything and run for the hills and warn all your neighbors, like your Paul Revere, whoever that was, right? It's just time to reorganize your strategy. Okay, well, maybe I need to focus on the bigger coins and let this play out. And so sorry for the tangent here, but I just kind of wanted to show you. This is a real life example of how I handle times like this in a moment like this.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. And that's what I keep trying. And like, this is a thing that's kind of funny to me that I don't really think people really quite grasp the nuance of, which is super frustrating to me, because it's like, guys, it's not that difficult, right? But like the thing that you need to understand is, like, you can believe something's going to happen, but like also being prepared for other options, right? I can think that the market is going to continue to go up, but also at the same time, be prepared for the possibility that the market goes down. It's not that hard of a concept, I promise. And so like, that's what's super important to know about this though, is like, you can have an idea and have a vision for what could be happening while also being prepared for other possible outcomes, right? I'm trying to be prepared for a major blow off top alt season bull run where everybody's face melts like we saw in 2021. That'd be great. I'm prepared for a slow, boring institutional cycle where things kind of, go up a little bit, here, a little bit there, consolidate for months at a time, like we've been seeing for the past several years. I'm prepared for that too. I'm prepared for this to be the top of the market and we go into a bear market where we see another 2-3 year long cycle. Again, I don't think we're going to see, if this really is the top of the market, I don't actually believe that we would see a bear market like the last one. I know we've talked about this a little bit before, Tyler. Usually for something of that type of magnitude to happen, you need to have a ton of liquidity that needs to be unwound from the market. And that's what wrecks people. I mean, we just had $3 billion liquidated on like Monday and Tuesday or something. I think it was Monday and Tuesday. Like a ridiculous, or actually it might have been 2 weeks ago. Anyway, recently we just had a ton of liquidity ripped out of the market, or a ton of leverage. Like, that's not like that is not going to lead to another like subsequent 90% drop, because there's no forced sellers in the market if all the leverage is clear. You're obviously going to have people getting bored and selling and all that type of stuff because they just want to go put their money elsewhere, which is totally fine. Time value of money is a thing, and it's something that should be considered, but it's not something that like drives the market, right? And so that's also something that like I think we should also be prepared for, is like, just make sure you're open to all outcomes. Doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. Just be open to all outcomes and try and stay flexible.
Well, that's the thing, man. People look at us, and I feel like the people who complain about being influencers are so cringy. But it is one of the downsides of, being someone, I guess, with a platform to some degree, right? Is that we get put in a position as people with cameras in which, if our opinion is wrong, we are wrong. And it's like almost as if it's this unrecoverable thing. My general opinion is that the crypto bull market's not over. I think it's delayed. I think it's going to take a while, but I believe we're in an institution-based cycle. The crypto market, bull market, might be over. It could still go down. So what do? I stack a bunch of cash. I take profits anytime the market pumps. And I'm just going to let it play out like that. And if it goes down, well, guess what? I'm a back holder for another freaking bear market, like I've done 2 times in a row now. It just is what it is. But quite frankly, everybody complains about being a back holder. Let me fill you in on something. Every bear market I've held the bag through, I had way more money on the other side of it. So I'm not even all that mad. If I end up back holding, it just is what it is. It's like, damn, that sucks. I wish I'd have took more profit. But at the end of the day, every time I've gone into a bear market and I had to hold through it, guess what happened? I had way more money on the other side of it, right? And so the way that I see it, it's very simple. Buy very, very quality cryptos right now. And one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to have to wait to make money, or you're going to make money soon. I feel like we have a pretty damn good deal. You might have to wait 2 years, or you might have to wait 2 months. But the likelihood is, if you just buy and leave it alone, you'll do okay. You'll do fine, And so, yeah, we're in a weird spot. There's a lot of manipulation. And quite frankly, I don't know how long this is going to last. You said something earlier where you said you don't know if the bear market's going to look the same. And I'm growingly becoming a person who thinks that we won't have a similar bear market. Now, altcoins are going to keep getting their asses whipped just like they always have. That's just how that goes. What's the saying, Kate? You might have to help me here. It's too big to fail. That's it. Right. The mindset of too big to fail is scary. That's a scary one because history says it's usually not true. There's a piece of me, though, that's believing it in the sense that institutions can't let Bitcoin especially fail right now, right? Fidelity and ARC21 and BlackRock, they can't really afford the reputational damage that happens when Bitcoin goes to 20,000 or 30,000. They can't really afford that. It's a part of the reason as to why when it dumps, they buy so much to float it. It's a reason why Bitcoin's been a little bit sideways when everything else is down. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. In history, had we seen a crash like this across altcoins, where altcoins are down 30, 50%, Bitcoin was down much worse than this. But the reasoning makes sense. Altcoins are up because, for the most part, minor institutions and retail investors are taking their profits and funneling it into the altcoins. When the market gets a little bit ugly, right? When the market starts struggling a little bit, people get out, which is why you see altcoins going down. Bitcoin is up because institutions bought in. You know what institutions don't do? They don't panic. They don't freak out. They don't just immediately sell. And it's the reason why we've seen so much stability amongst Bitcoin recently. Now, yes, are they just using this range to liquidate as many people as possible to feed their little lizard brains? Absolutely. But for the most part, we've seen stability across Bitcoin as a result of the fact that it is being floated by institutions. And so I'm under the belief that if we do enter into a bear market, the cryptos who are not backed by institutions are going to suffer. They're going to suffer because the people supporting them are short-sighted. The cryptos that are backed by institutions are going to perform the best. Hence why I believe we are in an institution era, cycle, period. I don't know what you want to call it. And that also plays into my whole mindset of, okay, well, if we are entering into a bear market, if this is the top of the bull market, let me make sure I'm buying some institution-backed cryptos. Now, as a core DeFi maxi, does that suck? That I'm basing what I'm doing off of centralized entities? Absolutely. But fucking newsflash, sorry for cursing on your channel, Cade, but newsflash, it's what happens. You don't just get a free market and the big boys don't come in and take it. It's just what happens. You think if we manage to get all the way to Mars, that you and I are just going to get a nice little plot of land? No. The whole thing's going to be owned by people who have more money than us. It's just how it goes. Wake up, grow up. It just is what it is. And so that just plays a part in it too. So, Kate, I would actually agree with you a ton that I think the bear market is going to look different as well. And I think it's going to be a lot more boring than it's ever been before because it's not going to be as ugly for Bitcoin and majors that it has been before. But
Yeah. I think there's a lot there in the sense of like it's going to be boring, but like we're kind of past, or we are passing the adoption curve, right? People get it. People understand what it is. You tell people about DeFi, even still, like there's a lot of people who are like, what's DeFi? I don't, why would I use it? Why do I need it? What's RWA? What's DPEN? I don't know any of this stuff. But Bitcoin, oh yeah, I know Bitcoin. It's like a thing that you sit there and hold it and it does nothing and it makes money. Cool. Right? I mean, like that's a pretty, like, I would say known commodity overall but what we're seeing with crypto is it's still not that case, which is why it's getting slammed. It's because people still don't really know what it is, how it's valued, how it fits into the larger like world just over time, right? And that's why I kind of compare this, at least in my opinion, to kind of what we're seeing out of like the what am I trying to say? Like the .com era, is because during the .com era, it was similar-ish, right, with tech companies, because people are like, oh wow, the internet's cool, it's probably going to do something. That's it, right? Like that was pretty much the extent of it. It's cool and it's probably going to do something. And so in that case, it's like, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with crypto, right? And so what we're seeing now, and why I don't mind when the market pulls back, is because I believe very strongly that crypto is going to fundamentally change how we interact with the world, right? I think if that's true, crypto probably goes to, again, collectively as an entire asset class, crypto probably goes to $100 trillion maybe, right? Like, I don't think that's, and now it's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen 2 years from now, but I'm talking like 10, 15, maybe even 20 years from now, we see crypto hitting $100 trillion because it's fundamentally changed how the world works. I mean, think about something as simple and as boring as stable coins. Stable coins have basically completely ripped up the entire like banking system from an international transfer perspective. People want me to pay them. I'm not going to go send a wire. Sure, like that's not going to happen, right? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go and send them USDC, USDT. It would be cool if we had like regulated stable coins that we knew actually like were worth what they're worth. QUST from 2021. But like, you know, that's cool. And that, like, that's valuable. That's worthwhile. DPEN, something like a helium, you completely replace all legacy telecom companies because people can just be their own phone provider at a certain point. You need something like blockchain to be able to do that, just like you needed the internet and iPhones to be able to do something like Uber or, I don't know, any of the other things that you need iPhones for today. Like that's essentially, but like if you can see that vision in the longer term, think about AI agents. Crypto was like made for AI and AI was like made for crypto. It's like, there are some people that disagree with me on that, but I think that is not a controversial thing to say at all. And so, but like, if you believe that AI is going to have a place, will blockchain have a place with AI? I believe so. Who knows, right? And so it's like, but if you have these convictions in the longer term, then it doesn't matter what happens today, tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now, because you're looking for things that are going to be the next Amazon, the next Apple, the next Google, whatever, right? Obviously, probably 10 to 100 are going to fail for every one that succeeds, which is why it's so risky. But the ones that do succeed are going to do very, very, very well. So anyway, that's kind of my perspective on how all that looks.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I've been thinking a lot recently. Like, have you been noticing the boiling up of Ethereum recently? Like, it's bubbling, and
yeah.
I'm paying attention to it as well. And funny enough, the only large purchase I've done this entire year was Ethereum. I did an 8% position increase, meaning that I increased my bag 8%, which is a shit ton in comparison to what I usually do. During bull markets, I don't buy much at all, really. Like, I'll do some small 1%, 1% buyers, whatever, but I don't really buy much, But there's certain things you just can't ignore. And you start to think, okay, let's kind of break this down. So we had a solid run, a valid run for its first run, right? We saw sweep pump. We saw things like low fee pump, right? We saw blub. We saw some of those other ones pump 200, 500 million, something like that. We saw XRP run, but XRP didn't really have an ecosystem to facilitate some sort of ecosystemic growth. We obviously saw Solana do its thing. Solana's already made that move, right? We're running out of options. We're running out of options for what is it that's going to lead the charge. ETH's been dead. ETH's been counting out. ETH's been forgotten almost to some degree. And things are actually happening with ETH in the background. I kind of hate ETH a little bit. Like, it's slow and it's expensive, but it is getting better. Is it getting better because not as many people are using it? Probably. But from a layer 2 perspective, you have to admit that things are progressing, right? Then you also have WLF buying a shit ton of Ethereum, an odd amount of Ethereum, to where it's like, okay, they're not buying anything else but ETH. And if anyone has access to what is actually happening behind the scenes, I would assume they do. Then you start to get the concept of, well, listen, institutions might not panic, but those MFers get greedy. Of course they get greedy. Duh, that's just what happens. And what do you think happens when they say, okay, Bitcoin's been great, but Bitcoin ain't done shit in months? How do we light that flame again? How do we get the spark going again, right? Maybe we got to go on a first date again, right? How do we get that spark going? Well, of course, it's altcoins. That's the obvious pick. But if they can't afford for Bitcoin to drop like crazy, right? They really can't afford to take major risks. Not in a time like right now. Not in a time where everyone's concerned and everyone's worried. They could have got away with the shit in 2021. Not in this market. People are too worried. So what's the obvious choice? Ethereum. The people who invest in Bitcoin know about ETH. ETH's price is going to be more stable in general against most cryptos. ETH is credible. It's been around. It has an ecosystem. It has a cult following. It has the credibility. It has the infrastructure. It has the worldwide adoption and use. It has things that have launched on it, like Pepe, obviously, that have pushed it up. It's kind of the obvious thing here. And I feel it. It's just bubbling. It's just bubbling. People are talking about it. They're looking at it. Its price is getting weird. It's having these whales buy it. WLF is buying it. And so it feels to me like ETH is going to be that thing. And it has the reach to. Because let me tell you something. If ETH runs to $7,000, all hell is going to break loose. Pepe's going to fly. All of your ETH-based memes are going to fly. You're going to see them launching. And then that liquidity has a perfect downstream from ETH into layer 2s, and from layer 2s into the neighbors. It's the perfect option. And if we're in an institution-based cycle and institutions are looking at ETH, maybe, just maybe, we buy a little ETH. And Kay told me that I should tell you guys to buy as much ETH as you humanly can. So I don't know. I don't even particularly remember why I went on that little tangent. But I was asking you, have you noticed that too, or is it just me?
Yeah, and something else that I think more than any of like the strange buys and accumulations and things like that, but Base is on ETH. They have access to 100 million users. Like, Base has cool stuff happening on it. Like, honestly, I would say Base, in my opinion, maybe this is a hot take, but in my opinion, Base is by far the best layer 2, just in terms of like stuff to do, things on it, interesting people building, all of that. Like, Base to me is kind of the winner of the L2s. And to be honest, the only thing that I don't like about Ethereum is, well, one, it's slow. Two, it's expensive. I die a little bit every time I have to send anything on Ethereum. But also, it's like, the thing that to me seems fundamentally broken about Ethereum is the fracturing liquidity. Every time somebody wants to create another layer 2, boom, another piece of Ethereum's liquidity is broken off. Yeah. Right? Like, that's dumb. That's really dumb. And so I know that there are things like Polygon, I know, is trying to like fix that with their ag layer. There's other things that are trying to do like intense space bridging, so you can move throughout chains cheaply and quickly, things like that. So there are some things like that maybe might fix it. I do think, who knows when this would or could actually happen, but maybe over time we see a solution to like this fractured liquidity problem. I will say, as I feel a moral obligation as an ICP lover, to comment on that. Like, they have their like chain fusion thing, so like you kind of already can do that through their type of, like, through the system that they've built. You can also build on Bitcoin as well, which is why we're seeing some interesting things happening with other stuff too. So, I think there's a lot of possible things that could kick off like a pretty crazy, could kick off like a pretty crazy run on ETH. And I think that's it, right? Same type of reason that like Bitcoin does well, or XRP has done well. Like, it's got the brand, it's got the name, people know it. And like you brought up Sui earlier, Sui did a great run, but then where were you going to put your money? There were like 4 places on the entire ecosystem to put your money, and that was about it. So it's like, ETH does not at all have that problem, right? Solana does not at all have that problem. So it's like, that's I think what'll be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm curious, bro. I'm curious to see how it all plays out, honestly. And that's kind of the exciting part about it, is like, people always say, well, this cycle is different. Listen here, goddammit. Every single cycle has been different. Period. It's just the truth. You can't accurately and honestly tell me that 2013 and 2021 cycle was the same. It was not remotely the same. Adoption rates change, governmental regulations change, institutional interest and investment, it changes. It's just what happens. It's just how it plays out, okay? And you got to understand that whether it's different or not doesn't freaking matter. The likelihood is that if you buy good things and leave them alone, you will do well over the long term, period. And I really don't know how much more we can say it. One thing that I will say is, like, I feel you. I feel a lot of you guys out there. Quite frankly, I feel most of you aren't even all that upset. I feel like most of you are just bored. Honestly, I'm an active proponent that boredom is one of the worst emotions that a human can experience. I think I've done the dumbest shit in my entire life when I was just bored. And I would say most people, I think there was a study, and I'm probably going to misquote this, but it was something along the lines of that. If boredom was eliminated, I can't remember it, so I'm not going to quote it, but it was a crazy stat regarding the way boredom impacts people, right? And I think most people are just bored. Bitcoin's been doing the same old shit. Altcoin's been falling, and you're just bored of it. And I feel you because I am too. I mean, you got to think, me and Kate have to make videos every single day. You know how hard it is? There's not shit to talk about, quite frankly. And it's not hard. It's an easy job. Don't get me wrong. But I feel you. And I think we can all agree here that this shit kind of sucks. And it's kind of boring. But at the end of the day, we're all here together. You got me. You got your financial advisor, Cade. And we just come on, we chit chat, and we just figure it all out. But I do think that there will be a point in time where we're going to look back on this and be like, damn, it's good. I'm glad it's over. And you just got to get there. You just got to get there. So we'll see. We'll see how it kind of plays out.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It has been bored. And that is something that I think is kind of funny. It's like a peek behind the curtain of like talking about stuff on YouTube every day, right? Is like, obviously I have to make things sound interesting and cool, or else nobody's going to watch my videos, right? But like, sometimes there are days where I literally just want to be like, yeah, so anyway, nothing's happening today. Let's talk about all of the nothing that's happening today, right? Because like it's like kind of hard, but like usually there's always something to talk about.
Yeah.
But what I will say is the days when the days when you have more to talk about, it gets a lot more fun because you don't feel like you're like belaboring points. You're just going and talking about, oh, well, this happened and this happened and this is going on and this is happening. So that's that's I think one of the biggest things is like when there's more where there's more coming, it gets easier to talk about stuff, but it's also when people are more excited too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, I feel like we've covered it, just kind of where we are, CPI and PPI, why it's so important, kind of where we think the market's at in general, the fact that it is different and that's okay, but it's not different in the sense that the bull market has to be over because that's fucking nonsense. It might be, but it doesn't have to be. And there's a huge difference between that. And, I think things are delayed. I think things are stabilizing. I think that the market's entering into a period in which it becomes a little bit more rational. And I think what Bitcoin is seeing as a result of institutional investment is a sneak peek into the fact that we are seeing crypto become stabilized to some degree, which isn't a bad thing, guys. I hope you understand that. Eventually, the gains you make in crypto today will not be the gains you can make in crypto tomorrow. That's just the way it is. The gains will be fewer and far between. The market will become ever more boring, and you just got to be okay with it. Look at the stock market. The stock market has many similarities. Obviously, the way that you value stocks is different. But the overall approach to the asset class is very similar. And it's just what's going to be what happens. It's going to stabilize. It's going to get a little boring. There's going to be more boring periods than not. Just got to be okay with it. Start finger painting or stalking Cade and shit, I don't know, break into his house. Right? Find something to do. Don't come to my house. But find something to do. You're going to need it. But if you just stick around, man.
I promise stalking Tyler's a lot more fun.
No. Cade lives around Mormons. That has to be more fun.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh my, Stein RR, you're nuts. I said finger paint. Jesus Christ. Someone said, I disagree. Been told for years Bitcoin leads the run, so naturally was excited when it ran over 110K, but of course nothing ran after it, pulled back and stabilized in the mid-90s, and everything is red. How does that differ from the fact that Bitcoin's leading the run? Let's think. So what your hypothesis here is that since Bitcoin ran and nothing else ran, therefore Bitcoin's not leading the market. The crypto market is still sitting at highs. The reason it's sitting at highs is because of Bitcoin. Therefore, Bitcoin is still leading the charge. Bitcoin dominance is ever increasing. XRP took off. Sui took off. Solana took off. Many of your top 10s took off. It's recency bias. Because in 2021, everyone could agree that the market was just going stupid. AI launching. Games kind of started picking up again. Layer 1s launching. Meme coins, some of them doing very well. Bitcoin did lead the market upwards. It led the market. It's still leading the market. So I would disagree with your disagree, with my disagree, with your disagree, that Bitcoin's not leading the market, because it quite clearly is, in my opinion.
Well, and just because it hit 110K, that's not to say that it topped.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, if the top is 250K and we hit 140K next month, it's still not topped, right? Like that's part of the issue. Again, I say this all of the time as well on my channel, where it's like, look, would the Great Depression have ever happened if people knew it was coming? Of course not, because then people would have been like, oh dang, Great Depression's coming, I should probably get out of the stock market before it collapses and everybody's poor and starving and all this type of stuff. No kidding, right? Would I have bought freaking put options on the market if I knew that the COVID lockdowns were going to happen? Yes, of course, right? Like everybody would have, but then also we wouldn't have seen that flash crash. And so that's part of like the issue that I think people have with cryptos. Like they listen to whoever, maybe it's, you know, a news article, or they've done their technical analysis and the Fibonacci's say so, or whatever. But they speak as if they know where price is going to be or has been or whatever. Like we have no idea. 110 could have been the top. And maybe this time was truly different. We haven't seen an alt season. Yeah. Maybe the top's 500K. Maybe the top's 125K. Who knows, right? I mean, we have no idea where the top is actually going to be. So theoretically, yeah, maybe this time is different, or maybe we haven't seen the top yet and nothing is in fact different. It's just maybe a little bit delayed, and that's what makes it different, right? So I mean, that it's always going to be different. How the degree in which it's different is going to be that, right? And this is the other thing too, just to kind of go back to that comment, is like, you know, I was told that. Okay, well, if you were told that, that means it's kind of consensus within the market, right? Everybody knows Bitcoin leads the way. So again, if everybody knows it's going to happen, and then the next thing is alts coming in, then maybe that's not going to happen, because everybody knows that that's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be trying to front run it or not do it, or things like that, right? And so that's the other thing I would say to consider there, is just make sure that when we're talking about it's, somebody says, well, then it may not be true, right? Because that means that there's been some historical precedent, and people all are using that knowledge to base their investment strategies off of. So not necessarily the best way to like kind of view that, in my opinion.
Well, it's easy to understand. When everyone thinks something's going to happen, it's probably not going to happen how they think it's going to happen. That is just how this goes. Everyone got comfortable. Let me prop my leg up here. Everyone got comfortable. Everyone expected Bitcoin was going to run, and now it's time for altcoins, right? And we're aware that the market's manipulated, right? We all agree, right? We all know this. So let me ask you something. If Bitcoin runs, and these lizard people, right, they make all this money, and then you're screaming, oh, it's time for the altcoins to run. Woo, altcoin season's coming. You're buying. What you think happens next? The lizard people, they're like, oh yeah, let's all make money together. Hell yeah. Brothers, no. They're like, oh, watch this shit. Let's slow this bad boy down. Let's accumulate a little bit more. Let's suppress these prices a little bit. Let's bake them a bit. Let's make retail give up, so where they're not stepping on our damn toes all the time, so that everyone thinks that the market's going down. Let's let all these short traders start swearing by their family's name, dancing on gravestones, that this is going to be the moment in which the market absolutely crashes, and then open the door for growth. Because let me tell you something. I personally believe these institutions, and especially the ones who are behind the scenes that are making manipulative things, right? Manipulating prices. They want crypto in general to go up because they own much of the underlying asset that they're manipulating. They want it to go up. They don't want it to go up with you and me in the boat. They can't make us get out, but they can do a whole bunch of tricky shit to try to get us to jump off. And eventually, it's my belief that if they can't get us to jump off, they'll just say, fuck it, let's just go. And it will just go, right? And so in a period like this where everybody was saying, oh, well, altcoin season, retail, they're going to do their best to stifle that. They're going to do that, their best to stop everyone from doing that, so that they can garner as much control as they can. Because every single month, guys, these institutions get more and more checks from their clients. Their clients are putting more and more money. They're funneling it into these accounts. And what are they going to do with it? They're trying to buy as much of this as humanly possible, right? And so the moment everyone stops screaming that altcoin season is right around the corner, it's probably the moment when that mother effer is right around the corner. And will it happen? I don't know. Again, I'm struggling to believe it'll happen the same exact way.
Yeah,
I
and
can't imagine that. No, you're good. I can't imagine that. I don't think it'll look the same. I think it's going to be more institutionally based. I think we're now at their mercy. They took control of this bitch. Everybody wanted institutions to come. When are we going to get institutional investment? When are we going to get ETFs? Yeah, now they walked in your house and are making you clean your room. You better clean it. I don't know what to tell you, but this is what we got. So I don't think it'll look the same, but I do think we will see a period in which altcoins are dominating. It's just going to take a while. Lock in. What else can you do?
yeah, well, and I think that's exactly the point, right? Is like, it's hard to get people to FOMO trade if everybody's in the trade, right? Like that's part of the issue there of, you know, if people aren't FOMO trading, then who's in buying the tops because they're so devastated that they missed out on the pump because they sold early. You know, usually that's kind of you kind of need both to happen, and shaking people out is the way you get there. The other thing I wanted to point out here is a pretty good comment from Steiner too, is wouldn't it be better at this point just to put cash aside for a bear market? Am I being too simple in this, or am I missing something? Maybe, right? I mean, yeah, I can't tell you the answer to that because I don't know myself. I still think that the market is going to go up. And so if I'm right, buying now would likely be a good idea. But if I'm wrong, then keeping everything in cash, totally fine. Sounds like a great idea if you ask me. But the thing that we need to understand here is with this type of thing, when we're kind of like, do we buy, do we sell, do we hold cash, whatever, is you have to like, none of us know for sure. And I think right now where we're at in the cycle, I think it's very, very easy to say this is not the maximum, like lowest risk to maximum reward time to buy. I think that's very, very clear to say. I would say, and honestly, I'll probably kick it back to you, Tyler, to get your point on this, because I think if I had to guess, risk reward is probably evenly weighted, or possibly even a little bit more risk for a little bit less reward. Like it's a little bit outsized to the risk side rather than reward side. What is your kind of, where do you think we're at if we're kind of trying to measure risk relative to reward? Where are we at?
You're not going to like my answer.
Okay, let's say
I don't really think there is risk. It's the way that I see it. Where's the fucking risk at? Like, yeah, things might go down for a little while. Boo-hoo. The risk is that the real risk in this, I'm going to get so bullish, hopium, copium, maxion, you're going to fucking love it. The real risk, I feel like every time we hit almost 2 hours, I'll start losing my shit. But the real risk in this market right now is not being a part of it. That's how I genuinely believe. Because, okay, option number one is that you buy Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin goes to 30K. Everything is wrecked. Bitcoin takes 6 years, 5 years, and then eventually it goes to 200K. You made money. The only risk you took was emotional damage. Grow up. None of us have emotions. None of us have brain cells left in crypto. You'll be one of us. You'll be fine, right? Not really any risk there. Time risk, opportunity cost, maybe. But intrinsically, in my opinion, there's not much risk. That's option one. You bought here, it goes to 30K. You wait, you make money, it takes a while, you cry a little, grow up. Option two, Bitcoin goes from 100K to 200K, and you didn't buy. Now you fucked. Because there's no going back on that. There's no way you can just go back and make that money. You can't force the market to redo what it just did. So to me, I think, especially in a period like right now where everyone's kind of pissy and they're upset and worried and crying and yada yada, slobbering on the keyboards. It's hard for me to say, yeah, it's more risky to buy right now than in terms of the reward that you may get. Maybe Bitcoin, because I don't think Bitcoin is going to hit 250K or 300K this cycle. I actually don't think that's going to happen. But when I look at altcoins that are down 30 to 60%, I'm like, who cares? If it drops another 40, who cares? I mean, we're already getting punched. Who really cares? So to me, I'd actually probably disagree a bit. And I would say that long term, the risk is always not being in. Short term, everyone's scared and crying and boohooing. I think it's probably more weighted in the direction of reward and risk versus reward.
I personally would agree with you. I just have a really hard time saying that publicly because people.
Oh, they're gonna cook my ass if it drops. I don't care. That's the thing. Listen, Kate, your channel is a little younger, and you still care. I don't give a shit. If I'm wrong, I'm just wrong. I've been cooked so many times. It's just like, it is what it is. I didn't think the bull market was over in 2021, and it was. I'm man enough to admit that. I didn't see it coming. But if that's the case, but guess what? If a bear market starts, I'm going to dump cash into the market, buy at generational lows, make a ton of money when it goes up, and then restart. Oh, well, I don't care. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's totally fair. I mean, in my opinion, like, and I think you just, like you said, lengthen your time horizon, right? I mean, if you go and you take a look at, I don't know that there's ever been a point where if you bought Bitcoin, I don't care where, if you waited probably 3-4 years, there will be no point in history in which Bitcoin did not go up, right? So it's like, if you're willing to lengthen your time horizon. Now, if you're talking about investing for today and you want to essentially be in for this bull market, that's where I kind of think that, risk may be outweighed to reward. But if you're talking about 5 years, 10 years, whatever, there's zero risk. It's like investing in tech stocks in 2001. Like tech stocks, like I think the entire S&P 500, keep in mind, this is 500 companies that are supposed to be most representative of the US market. I think it's like 33+% weighted to tech companies.
Yep.
Like it is massively overweighted to tech. So if crypto takes the same route as tech, like how many crypto companies are in the S&P 500? Like none, I don't think. I mean, you could maybe count like Tesla and like Block's holdings, maybe like their Bitcoin holdings as like crypto adjacent, maybe. But like we're gonna be seeing 0 to 33% of potential total market adoption over the next 20 years. Like struggling to find the risk there, right? But if you're talking about, are we going to see a top that is in the future for this cycle?
Who knows, bro? Grow your ass up. That's the way I see it. You want some hard loving? No one knows, dude. I don't know. Cade, my financial advisor, he doesn't know. Your grandpa, your grandmother, no one knows. Nobody knows. Here we go. Oh, baby, we're going to tangent again. Let me pick this mic here up for a second. Cade was just with me for 5 days in Vegas, by the way. So he's heard me ranting for days at this point. What a trip, by the way. Anyway, these crypto YouTubers out here swear by it. They know what's going to happen. Let me be the first one to tell you, if you're new here, we don't know. We don't know people. Quite frankly, I don't know. I don't have a college degree. Hell, I don't know how I have a high school degree. I'm just somebody who's been staring at this shit for years and years and years and has noticed the way that this goes, right? And just like most people. What I know is that if you wait it out, you'll be fine. What I do know is that anyone who's swearing to you that they know how this is going to go is playing roulette. It's easy. I mean, I want you guys to think about it, right? I want you guys to think about this. Listen what it's like to be a crypto YouTuber. Option number one is you're realistic in the sense that you don't fucking know. So you just tell people, I don't know. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. When I sit here and tell you I don't know, what happens? I lose credibility. People look at me and think, oh, well, why the fuck do I watch you if you don't know? I don't care. Because I don't know. The other option is I could just roll the dice. It's a 50-50. There's a 50% chance I'm going to look like God himself. Where I could sit here and be screaming, this shit is over. This bull market is over. We're going down. And I have a 50% chance that I'm going to be right. And I'm going to get a whole bunch of subscribers. I'm going to get invited on yachts. Life's going to be good, right? Life's going to be good. Or I could scream that the bull market is not over and the same effect will happen. Think about this. Capo of crypto was screaming from the rafters that the bear market was not over. Bitcoin already crossed 50K and he was swearing by God it was going back down to 10K. He was wrong. I'm not playing that game because you know what happened? Capo didn't fucking know. Just like nobody knows. So if your intention is to come on YouTube and find a bunch of people who can tell you what's going to happen, you're wasting your time. All you're looking for is people who will validate how you feel. What you want is me to say what you want to hear. And if I don't, you'll click on the next video, then on the next video, then on the next video until you find someone who will. I'm not wasting your fucking time. I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow looks like or this month, next month. My financial advisor, Cade, does, but I don't, right? No one. And so the way that I see it is if you're coming on here and you're searching for that, all you want is validation and you're searching for it in the wrong place because quite frankly, crypto is disgusting. We all get smoked in crypto. So please understand that. Crypto can be broken down into a few very, very key principles. It's very risky. If you get too risky and too greedy or have too much FOMO, too much panic, too emotional, you'll lose. If you buy shit and just leave it alone, you'll probably make a lot of money. Period. Rant over. Sorry, Cade. Financial advisor, Cade.
Yeah, no, I mean, to follow on with that, like that is kind of the devil's bargain you have to make on YouTube a little bit, right? Because like I've kind of tried to figure this out too. I don't like to over sensationalize stuff. I know you don't either, but it's really, really hard, right? Because if I create a video and chat, you can tell me, give me your honest opinions here. If I give you something as a, know nothing, nobody, 5,000 subscriber YouTuber, and I say, here are my thoughts on the market. No one's going to click that. No one's going to watch that because they don't care, right? But if I sit here and say, Bitcoin is going to $10 billion and it's going to happen 35 days from now, people are going to click that.
You have 24 hours.
Yeah, because people are going to click that. There's a reason people do this because it works, right? And that's what kind of sucks is it's like, I don't want to over sensationalize this type of stuff, but you have to, because if you're looking at those two videos and I put two videos in front of you and I say, one is my thoughts on the market and the other one is Bitcoin is going to $10 billion 35 days from now. Don't miss this. Like, you're going to click that one. Even if you know that I'm lying to you, you're still probably going to click it because it sounds more interesting than my thoughts on the market. And so that, like, hopefully those of you who are watching understand this and you get the fact that, like, we have to kind of sell it as much as we can, but like, you need to understand, like, and I think, we're probably preaching to the choir here, but like neither of us try and oversell things, right? But there are a lot of people that do. And you can just look at the views. You can tell it works. It is a proven strategy. There's a reason everybody does it. So you have to understand that there's a little bit of bluster there because that's what makes people watch. Now, once you have started to develop a community and a channel and stuff like that, then people will just listen to you for your thoughts, right? Let me use Ben Cohen as an example. I love Ben Cohen. But also, I mean, he's like profoundly boring, right? Like, he is not at all entertaining to watch or listen to, but the information that he provides is really, really good. But it doesn't matter because there's enough people that watch him already that 50,000 people are going to show up to watch his videos no matter what. He could just not even title his videos and 50,000 people would still show up to watch, right? And so like there's kind of this game you have to play of like, you want to grow your channel, you want to talk, you want to get in front of more people, because I personally feel like I'm being honest and I'm trying to make sure that people aren't getting screwed by people who might not be being honest. But if I just am straight up, like, no one's going to watch my videos, right? And so like, I don't know, I'm sure you can talk more to that, Tyler, than I
100%.
can.
100%. And I've been on all alleys of YouTube. I've done the dumbest shit you can imagine on YouTube. Look, I've been very transparent about this. There ain't nothing to dig up on me because I put it all on the surface. I've clickbaited. I've literally like made the dumbest faces on fucking earth you can't imagine. We're talking big face, open mouth. I've done it all, quite frankly. Like I've literally done it all that you can imagine. And all roads led me to where I am now. I'm going to title my video exactly how I feel. I'm going to make the thumbnail one of the 4 thumbnails that I use, and I hope you like it. If you don't, it just is what it is. And look, I don't say this because I have very close friends who clickbait, and they kind of do the whole crazy thumbnail thing, and power to them. It's their prerogative. That's what they're gonna do. As long as you're being honest, I don't really give a fuck what you do, quite frankly. Now, once you start lying, that's where we go down a weird world. But the way that I see it is like YouTube has become a bit of a tricky place, especially in crypto, because people come on here literally just looking for validation now. That's all you really want. 90% of people come on YouTube looking for validation. They want to find someone who either agrees or disagrees with them. They want someone who agrees with them to make them feel special, like they are smart. They want someone who disagrees with them to leave a little comment, to just argue with them. That's what everyone wants. And, I don't want to kind of carry on the topic too much because you guys probably don't give a fuck. But the way that I see it is just like, if you're on YouTube and you're looking for the answers and you're looking for that, you're wasting your time. Use YouTube as a place to get opinions, education, and more knowledge. There's one guy in this chat I want to have a quick convo with. Ryan McGinnis is in here, who's actually one of my favorite commenters. But there's a guy named TA Junkie who says that we are being naive and that somehow, if we bring on a real technical analyst onto the stream, everything we say will be recanted. So, TA Junkie, what I would love you to do is I would love for you to send me your email, and we'll send you the link to this stream, and we'll put you on this bitch right now. And you could just explain to me how we're wrong. Because you've had a lot to say. And I'm very happy to chit-chat. Being from Louisiana, you kind of get shit talked all the time. So, TA Junkie, I'm curious. Come on stream. I'm happy for you to come on stream.
Well,
anywho.
And for that, like, I don't, just like Tyler hasn't, just like I haven't, I don't claim to know it all, right? I know, well, Tyler maybe knows it all, but I don't. So maybe there's something that I don't know. Maybe you can enlighten us. I feel like I have a pretty measured take to the market, but maybe I'm just straight up wrong. Who knows? I'm always happy to learn. I don't have a dog in this fight. I just want crypto to be successful. I crap talk XRP all the time. I don't really believe in XRP, but if XRP is what wins, more than happy. So, I would be interested.
I'm always down for it. I'm gonna pull up. That's the way. That's what I'm telling you. At the end of the day, pull up.
Yeah.
You got a lot to say. Pull up. We're at the part of the stream where I get a little unhinged. So I get to sitting in this chair for 2 hours. Now I got my leg propped on the wall and I'm talking shit. It just kind of is what it is. But it's all jokes at the end of the day. Listen, we're all in this fight together. We all feel different ways about it. But at the end of the day, I think we're all progressing in a certain direction. And the direction we're progressing in is that we're all contributing, and we're a major contributing factor to crypto becoming what we hope it would be. I think the majority of us here hope that crypto becomes a staple in the world, not just in the US, not just in the economy, but in the world, that Bitcoin and ETH and Solana and XRP and whatever can find its way into the crevices, creepy word, right? But crevices of the world, and that it can expand the world. It can open up opportunities the world have never seen before. Not only just because we believe in crypto, but obviously if that is the case, we'll make a lot of money. And I do value all of you who are kind of in here, whether you talk that hot boy shit or not. We all have the same prerogative, and the prerogative is growth. And I do appreciate that. And, I'm curious though. There's more that people don't look at with market correlations that a lot of people are missing in their analytics. Well, pull up and tell us what that is. That's all I'm saying. If you got that shit to say, pull up. We'll send it to you. And I'm joking. You guys know, we're kind of at that point in the stream where we like to have a little fun. And I like to make Kate a little uncomfortable. But, hey, first and foremost, everybody, I need a round of applause. I want literally the words clap, clap, clap for the boy Cade, this way, for hitting 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's a hard thing to do. Got to put him on the spot real quick. But I remember those days a couple of years ago, and 5K is very difficult to do. So congratulations, Cade. I think you might have titled the stream something like this. So congrats, man. Very, very, very proud of you, bro.
Yeah.
We were in Puerto Rico when you started the channel, now that I think about it.
Yep. Yes, we were. You were helping me. You're helping me kind of figure out the YouTube game, get started. It's been fun. I've been watching YouTube for years. Crypto YouTube specifically, doing crypto for years, all of that type of stuff. And so when I was talking to you guys, I was like, maybe I'll try it out, and yeah, it's been a ton of fun. I enjoy that. To be completely honest, I was expecting a lot more negativity than I think I've gotten. I'm sure that'll come as my channel gets bigger, but like, yeah, I mean, a ton of like really nice people, really supportive people. I love the people that are, that I've gotten to meet and know and get involved with. It's been a ton of fun. Not to kind of drone on too much about, all of that type of stuff, but yeah, it's been awesome. It's been exciting. I'm just excited to kind of keep moving along. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, look, everybody, what's up? Kate, you got 10, 20 minutes? What you got?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's drop some questions, everybody. Let's kind of get some questions going. I'd love to answer some questions. I'm in unhinged mode right now. So whatever you ask, I will answer. Except for you, SUV. SUV been in the chat with some questions. I'm not answering. Yo, Larry McTurds, bro, what are you talking about? I've seen you spam B3 a million times. I keep putting you in timeout, and as soon as the clock runs out, you just spam it again. What is B3, bro? Oh my gosh. When's the next SWE run? Probably yesterday, if I had to guess. What do you think, Cade? When's the next SWE run?
Yeah, I don't know, man. SWE's one that's been very it's been a difficult one to play. Like the structure was good and then it wasn't. Now it's like, I don't know. Like, because like the overall the I'm very happy with how SWE's played out so far. Like the ecosystem is dead. There's not really anything to do on it. But like, look at Solana. Solana was dead in 2021. It had nothing going for it. So I don't know. It's hard to say for sure when we I'm smacking my table. But when we see SWE going on its next run, I feel like probably yesterday was a good kind of kickoff. Or realistically, like even 2 weeks ago, whenever we saw that like liquidation wick, I think that probably, again, I don't know. This is not financial advice. Nobody has any idea. But like, I think that liquidation wick probably the like local bottom, if I had to guess.
Can you show them this?
Yes. There you go.
So SWE is right now in what's called reset mode. SWE put in an obvious top, something I talked about a million times on the channel. The two circles right here, when I close down my SWE position, like 5% here and 3% here or something. Because SWE's ecosystem started to slow down. It entered into what's called an ascending channel. I told you all in that video, 90% chance of these breaking to the downside. When a crypto breaks to the downside of an ascending channel, what it's going to do is it's going to enter into what's called bounce zones. And bounce zones are levels in which you can expect the price to try to bounce off of. These are these green lines. And SWE right now is trying to decide whether or not it's going to maintain this bounce zone or not. You need to look for the macro clarity here. Does support hold or does it not hold? Because this is the reset. I think SWE is going to have another run. I believe this is just another reset because its price pulled back. What's that? 53%.
Yeah, 53.
The question is, though, if that was enough or not. I feel like, and I'm going to say this without having facts, so just understand I'm just blabbering. I'm used to seeing cryptos like SWE fall 60 to 70%. There's something like, I don't know where it's coming from, that feels like they usually fall more than that. But it was a heavy wick. It's stabilizing well. Doesn't have to be the case. But just understand there is still a major risk that SWE pulls another little bit further, right? And it comes back. This is a correction. This is not a crash. This is not the end. This is not a cancellation. This is a correction. You can tell it's a correction because look what happened. Resistance, structural clarity on the resistance. The break of resistance leads to a new higher high. You break macro structure to the downside. You get two things that happen. Thing number one is you come back down to your 1.272 fib extension, which is a natural, healthy reversal from a micro to macro sense. And then you found support on top of a previous point of resistance, meaning the bulls stepped in when they were supposed to. This is not bearish. This is bullish. You have to correct after runs like this. You have to. It's just what needs to happen. Altcoins are like slingshots. You pull them back a little bit to let them go. and you pull him back to let him go, and you pull him back to let him go. It's just what happens. So swing, I think it's in a pretty good spot. Is this going to be the start of something new? Probably not. I don't know. Got no idea. Cade knows because he's my financial advisor. But me, I don't know. I'm buying a little bit here. If it goes up, cool. My bag will go up. If it goes down, cool. I'll buy a little bit more because I do expect that we will bottom out at some point and then use that bottom to try to make a run back up to $5. So from a technical perspective, this is looking pretty good. TA Junkie, you've been real quiet, Gango. I'm not going to lie. But anyway. Okay.
Nice. Isaac just maxed out all his credit cards to buy Algo. Sick. Good for you. Let's hope that plays out for you, I guess.
Shout out to FY Advisor, by the way. I'm not ignoring you. I see you. Ryan McGinnis. I really hope the market goes down, to be honest, because I'm starting to feel to buy in out of FOMO, and I know it's most likely a trick going on today. Why? The market will be down. The market will be down today. Today definitely feels a little suspect to me. Doesn't mean that the market can't rally. I just think the market is rallying against, how do I say this? The market is rallying against sentiment, which oftentimes does lead to fragility, which leads to volatility, wicks, liquidity hunts, all that. So I'm not doing anything big today, personally.
Yeah, I think especially with crypto, people have kind of really gotten a hard on for the economic data. And so I feel like if I were a market maker, I would be taking every opportunity to just mess with people around these like events of economic data, right? I mean, they're not even really events, to be honest, but they're I would definitely be taking good advantage of that. So
yeah. TA Junkie, what you cooking? I don't know why you being so nice to me now. You cooking me some lasagna, some spaghetti. Is technical analysis always in danger of confirmation bias? 1000%. Technical analysis to some degree is confirmation bias. It's a lot of the times. Let me think. That's a great question. Let me think. Is technical analysis basically always confirmation bias? I don't particularly think that it's confirmation bias because I do think TA can provide you with the confirmation you're looking for. But I do believe that technical analysis in its core is a representation of investor psychology. Investor psychology is often a reaction. Therefore, if TA is based on reactions, it will always be reactionary. Therefore, what you're seeing from TA will always be more of an afterthought to what's actually happening. So to some degree, it has to be. Like it has to be some sort of consistent confirmation bias. But I do think that it can be predictionary in the sense that you can use technical analysis to assume where support and resistance levels may be, extension levels, liquidity zones, and things like that. So it doesn't always have to be. I would say a lot of the time, TA is always a lot of the time, technical analysis is at risk of being confirmation bias if you're not using it to get a better understanding of what's happening. I feel like, okay, if you use, it's like YouTube. You can use YouTube to just confirm how you feel, right? Because you might feel good, you're going to go look for good YouTube videos, meaning you're going to look for the thumbnails that look good, right? When you're doing TA, you're going to open up the chart and look for things that are positive and ignore things that are negative. So if you're using TA as a means to confirm it, like if you're doing that actively, yeah, it's just confirmation bias. You're wasting your time. But if you're using TA to get a bit of a better understanding of the broad perspective to create the bias that you have, then I don't think so. So I guess it's just the approach that you have when using TA. That's a great question, though. That's interesting. Anyway.
I feel like 80% of the time it's confirmation bias. Because I think a lot of people see what they want to see. And I think a lot of people will use that as an excuse to draw the line. Well, not this one. Isaac Newton. I can draw squiggly lines too. I mean, like, kinda, yeah, right? I mean, like, because a lot of it, it's like if you don't understand why things are moving and why, because like keep in mind, everybody knows how to do TA, at least to a basic degree, right? Market makers know how to do TA too, right? So if you're seeing a major level of support, this is why it's really, really hard to leverage trade, is because if you're seeing a major level of support, the market makers know it's there too, right? They're just going to flush right through it, liquidate everybody, and then pump the price back up. Like it's not rocket science. So I do think like TA can be a little bit of a confirmation bias. Same type of thing with like, you know, like I love Fibonacci's because they're great because they give you like, you know, different places where you can consider where price may potentially, you know, slow, stop, things like that. But also at the same time, Fibonacci's work because everybody knows about Fibonacci's, and they're like, oh, okay, well, when it gets to the 121 or whatever, then I'll maybe sell or buy or, you know, things like that. So that's my opinion. Is it's very, very, very easy to make it confirmation bias because a lot of people, they don't want to see what they don't want to see. So they're not going to try and look for it. They're just going to be like, oh, support here, just, you know, channel, wedge, this, that, whatever, boom. What's going on? You know, like,
yeah. Well, you also got to be careful. Like, what people have to understand is whenever it comes to YouTube, you really fucking need to be careful with technical analysis. You got to. Mm-hmm. YouTubers know what's going to get them the most views. YouTubers need content aligned with whatever's going to get them the most views. I'm almost being hypocritical to some degree because I'm guilty of this from years ago. Like I said, within the last year or so, I've kind of just stopped giving a fuck, and I just talk about. I don't care about the YouTube game. I don't care, quite frankly. I try with the thumbnails. I try to get creative and stuff, so I do try with those, but with the titles, I don't. But take it from someone who's been here, who's done it to you himself. As a YouTuber, you know what gets good views. So you want to manipulate what it is that you see and what it is that you show so that it aligns with the narrative that gets you the most views on your channel, right? So if the narrative is that the bull market's not over, what you're going to see is a YouTuber go in and find the metrics that say it's not over. And then they're going to share that with you. Why? Better engagement, better views, better money, better sponsors, better affiliates. But also in addition to that, they can play into the narrative to a degree in which they can consistently just get content out and they start building up the storyline. You know what I mean? And so I will harshly warn you all is when I can't say names even though I fucking really want to. But there's a lot of YouTubers out there who will play the game and you will fall victim to it. Because not only are you now playing against a YouTuber who may not be giving you his genuine beliefs because he's trying to feed into a narrative, but you're also playing against market makers, as Cade mentioned, that actively know what you think. Yeah, if we're going from 105 to 100,000 and you set your stop loss at 99,000, it's gonna get hit. If you don't think these people who control the markets have access to the back ends of these exchanges to see where all of these levels are, you are out of your mind. Of course they can. It's how they win. Of course they can. So the way I see it, use a combination of technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and macro analysis to have a big picture. Where is the big picture going? And use technical analysis as a mini map that can help guide you to get there. Okay, I think Bitcoin is going to 200,000. I'm going to use TA as a tool to tell me when Bitcoin's oversold so I know it's a good time to get in. Because I know my goal is that Bitcoin's going up there and I'll use TA again as a tool to get myself up there in the best way possible. Or just buy that bitch and leave it alone. TA is not necessary if you have a good macro understanding of what you're investing in. I do believe that to be the case. Curious if you agree with that, Cade, though.
Yeah. I feel like if you're only using TA, you're probably missing the other side of the story in the kind of the other half of the picture, I guess, so to speak. And then, yeah, I mean, like macro, it's fairly clear to see, you know, that the macro environment very much does depend or influence how something like the crypto market works. TA, and like this is something that I'll look at all the time when I look at like smaller alts, right? Is I'll say, oh wow, you know, this chart looks like it could be setting up for something pretty nice, but it's an alt and it really doesn't matter what it thinks if Bitcoin decides to go the other way. So like there's a lot of that type of stuff where it's like, yeah, you can look at some of these in a vacuum, and in a vacuum it might look good, but we're in the real world, not in a vacuum. And so you have to be able to understand and play a lot of these other things to make sure that like you're understanding what's going on.
Yeah, agreed. Someone's spamming me. Let's see. Larry McTurd. Oh, the McTurd man himself. Larry, I'm looking for the question. Tyler, what's the next best exchange that's easy like Coinbase? Binance? If I had to guess. I can't use Binance because I'm from Debut and they banned it. I only really use Coinbase. Kraken's okay.
I used crypto.com for a while.
Crypto.com? Yeah, that's another one.
I like crypto.com.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully that answers McTurder. The McTurd man. I'm coding an automatic chart analysis web app right now. I'm at 6K lines of code. That is a ton. Macro alignment is not standard macro. It is one of the most important factors with each major swing. People just don't track it. I think I agree if I'm following you.
Hey, here's okay. Trying to keep up.
Alrighty. What do you think of AI coins not even listed on Binance like Destra and OXL? I don't know anything about them. I'm very uneducated on the AI world to some degree. I have a very base understanding of it. Cade's a little bit more opinionated on it, obviously, because he's a financial advisor and all. So go ahead, Cade.
Yeah, I mean, I like AI coins. I think AI coins are similar to whatever shiny objects you want to compare to last cycle. Because gaming probably, even like deep into a degree last cycle, just because nothing was really even built. People were just selling an idea. I like AI, but there is the big caveat that I don't actually think anybody knows what they're doing. Right? So like what actually becomes like the thing that like takes off or finds product market fit, I have no idea, and so that's the thing that you have to be very careful of with these types of things is you can make a ton of money, but you can also lose a ton of money because you need to be able to understand and assess quickly and accurately who actually is building something somewhat interesting and who's just trying to grift you because AI is hot and they know that they'll probably make at least some money. 100%. So I love AI. I think the reason that AI is taken off so much is because it's just a consensus pick, right? And I know I get a little nervous every time I say consensus pick, but like I don't feel like that feels like a hot take, right? I mean, everybody understands AI. Everybody's only talking about AI, both inside and outside of crypto. People can easily visualize how AI makes sense inside of a crypto framework. Like all of these types of things, essentially kind of add to like the like rap sheet or whatever for crypto or for AI on crypto, and people want to invest in it because it's just easy. People can see it. It's clear. It's like, I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But like, it's very, very easy to see why you would invest into an AI coin because it's just clear. So it's
99%. 99% of them are fucking nonsense.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolute nonsense. And that's the thing. There are some out there very good, like Hugh Tars AI. Big fan, right? Yeah. Pinlink, another one. I like it a ton. But AI is so early in development that you can't truly expect that we've even scratched the surface of what's actually going to turn into something. I mean, think about how many layer ones there were that were just around because they were a layer one that didn't really amount to much since then. You know what I mean? Think about how many gaming coins never released a game. Think about how many NFT projects didn't release anything, good. That's where AI is. And I think the most comparable portion of crypto to AI is gaming. A very understandable use case, an easy to merge portion of the world. I mean, think about it. Like if games include crypto, it makes sense. If AI includes crypto or crypto includes AI, it makes sense. What the fuck has gaming done this cycle? Nothing. It's just not time yet. But I do think it is going to be all kind of a part of it. So to me, the ones that kind of get back to your question, Anything that's not big, anything that's not listed is already risky enough. I think stick to the ones that actually do something.
Yeah, again, not trying to shill anybody or anything, but like when we saw that most recent crash, I actually went in and put a decent chunk into like Virtuals protocol, because Virtuals is one that I was very, very pleased with. AI16Z is one I'm considering. I haven't really pulled the trigger on that one yet, just because that one feels more gimmicky to me, just based on like what I've seen so far. But like Virtuals protocol is an AI platform that does stuff. It started on Base, had a lot of success. It's now active on Solana. Like they're doing things. The devs are really good. They've re-incentivized kind of like the like tokenomics and how that type of stuff works. That type of stuff, like that is all to me. And from top to bottom, I didn't get into the exact bottom, but I got pretty close. And who knows, could even go lower, right? So we may not even have seen the true bottom yet. But like at least so far, I got pretty close into the bottom, and it was down almost 80% from top to bottom because people were just afraid, and there's a whole bunch of sell-off going on. So again, I didn't mortgage my house or anything to go in on it, but I put a little bit in, and if it goes down another 50%, I'll probably just buy more. That's kind of how I look at some of those types of things.
Agreed. What the hell is going on with Cake though? Have you seen that over the last?
Yeah. When I was doing my live stream for your Discord, shill probably on that in a second. When I was doing your live stream for the Discord today, I saw it was up like 30% today or something last I checked.
It's at 45 now.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Phantom or S token, Sonic tokens up 21% on the day.
Yeah, I saw that one was up decent too.
I bought some of that bad boy at like I think like 46 cents or something.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I was also looking at, it seems like the Pulse chain ecosystem's kind of going up today as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that as well. XEN is up. Have you looked at XEN at all? It's been fucking flying the last month. Or it was at least at one point.
I feel a little bad about that one because there were so many people in my comment section trying to show me XCN, and I was like,
I know, me too.
And it's
still sub $1 billion though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not bad. I haven't done too much, and frankly, I don't know if I'll get into it just because it's already like 20x. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
So
we'll see.
It's a layer 3 blockchain designed for financial grade applications, offering near instant confirmations and low fees. I think a lot of the reasons it was flying is because people were speculating about possible government uses. Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's actually any like real news that's actually moved the price. I think it might just be pure speculation.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, no, it looks pretty interesting. I need to dig into it. I looked at it a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, that was kind of same for me.
You know what's weird? I put a poll out earlier today that asked people how they were feeling. I said, how you feeling? Bullish, bearish, or bored? 48% said bullish. 41% said bored. 10% said bearish. I feel like they're fucking lying.
Yeah.
That's not actually, I didn't expect that. Hey, chat, how are y'all feeling? Let us know. Don't lie either. Don't be weird. Bullish, bearish, or bored? How you feel?
Any opinion on H-bar?
I like it. I like it enough to add it to my new portfolio that I made, but I don't love it to the point where I would, buy a ton of it. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Bored, bullish, bored. Where's all my bearish people at? I need y'all motherfuckers to get a little bit more worried. That's when the market runs. Cade, financial advisor, tell them we're going to zero.
Guys, sell it all. It's going to zero.
Clip it now.
I am in fact a financial advisor.
Oh, shit. See, now you get it. Neutral, bullish AF.
It's only because we're 2.5 hours into the stream. That's all.
Cake was a daily harmonic. Hit 272 fib after pattern completed the flip. Ped weekly and 2-week macro levels. Testing 0124 open soon. TA Junkie, send me an email. I think we can be buddies. You quote some Fibonacci's. You got a key to my heart. I'm bored making money. Well, Gilberto, that's a hell of a thing. Wait till Michael Saylor rug pulls Bitcoin. Now that would be a twist.
That would be the long con of the century. I'll tell you what.
The funniest thing is, it still wouldn't be enough to end the fucking. No. It definitely end the bull market, but it wouldn't be enough to like kill crypto.
No,
Can't convince me. Someone's gonna argue with me.
well, that's the thing is like, if crypto really has that type of pull, like nothing can kill it, right? Things will definitely get in its way, but like if it will actually provide the value that people think it can, then yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, 100%. Alrighty, well look, I think I'm gonna go get something to eat. All I ate today was Subway. I know my chat fucking hates Subway because they're judgy. Thank you. But Subway is a great option. It's a great choice. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go get some food. 2.5 hours, Kate. Is this your longest stream ever?
It's close. I did one a couple weeks ago that was, oh, here we go. Whoops. Maybe some alpha. I'll say Aunt Lynn tells me things that in my comment section that she buys, and she's pretty good with it. So I'm going to definitely be looking into Plume. So
shout out Aunt Lynn. He talks about you a lot.
I do. Aunt Lynn, you're always commenting on my videos. You're one of my most loyal and best subscribers. You always leave fantastic comments. So everybody should be like Aunt Lynn.
Mr. Turf, those bread rolls are made out of yoga mats. Man, fuck you, bro. I like Subway. Leave me alone. Oh, we're back, baby. Me and Cade, we were out of town partying up in Vegas. We killed him. Well, Cade wasn't a bit of a gambler, but I killed him on the blackjack table.
You did.
Killed him on the blackjack table. Hell of a trip. Had my bachelor's party there. That was a great time. I didn't miss you guys though. You guys know I was on the streaming grind. I didn't stream for 9 days. I felt weird. I didn't have people bullying me because I eat Subway or I listen to Glorilla in my free time. But baby, we're happy to be back. Not shit's happening, but we're gonna be here just chit chatting, yippee yapping, and hoping for the best like everybody else, I suppose. Yeah, man, look at him. Nicholas, welcome in. Happy everybody. Hey. You guys know what time of the stream it is? It's shilling time. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm about to shill. I'm going to shill some shit, okay? Kate, can you share my screen real quick?
Yep. You just got
2 things for you to check out if you are interested.
Can you share?
Yeah, I'll get it pulled up. It's shilling time. Alrighty. If you're interested, feel free to check out the Discord server where you can find me, myself, Cade, and all of our other financial advisor friends giving you some insights and all that good stuff. Our mission at the Discord is very, very simple, guys. We have a school. What we do in the school is we give you courses, coaching from Cade, your financial advisor, classes, live streams, workshops, trade signals, research, and more. Help you define your strategies because strategies are where gains are made. If we go look at the community gainers chat, you can kind of see it, right? And listen, obviously, it's easy for people to post their gains. Not everyone posts their losses. We do have a losses and lessons chat for people to post their losses, and you can see people do lose, but people also win. Hundreds of percentages in gains. There's a recorded over $3 million in profit from the community now. Just people absolutely smashing it. And this isn't us giving them a bunch of signals to follow. This is them learning things from me, and the coaches and the staff and everybody, and using that to generate their own strategies. And hey, you know what happens? Boom. People make money, and it's great. And the best part about it is if you don't like it, you can get your money back guaranteed. Starts as little as $5 a month. We have a couple options there for you. I opened up one spot in the executive tier literally just 10 seconds ago. There's a $17 a month option as well, $5 a month option there as well. If you are interested, that's available there for you. And Cade will also in his have a link over to BTCC. If you are interested, you guys can go feel free to sign up. If you're on my stream, I have a link to BTCC down below, or you can check out Cade's if you do want to start doing some degenerate gambling today. Possibly lose all your money, but it is available for you there if that's what you want to do. I'm not judging you. But yeah, I have I think like 300 or 400 of you in here right now. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Obviously being with Cade. The co-stream was sweet. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was fun.
If you guys did like the co-stream, make sure you go follow him. The link is in the description below. Don't be stingy with your fingertips. Go press that subscribe button. I'm back on Twitter, Tyler Hill YT. Go follow me. And then my financial advisor, Cade, is also on Twitter as well. If you want to go ahead and shout out the Twitter, bro.
Just at Kate O'Neill. And yeah, if you go to my channel, it's in all of my like descriptions of my videos. So if you're really that committed, that's where you can find it.
And go to his comment. If you comment on one of those videos, you let him know he is your financial advisor, no matter what he says. No matter what he says. We're in Vegas. We're in Vegas. You know, we were all having a good time. And, you know, he was out there and he was like, you know, one day they'll learn I'm their financial advisor. You know, I manifest this shit. That's what he told me. TA Junkie just sent me an email with contact info. I'm going to get back to you, TA Junkie. I expect to hear back from you. I want to learn something. You told me I'm naive and I want to know why. But we'll talk soon. But anyway, look, I'm going to go ahead and run off, Kate. It's been a blast. You guys know, once that hour and 45-minute mark passes, I'm going to start turning up in here. So hope you guys do enjoy it as per usual. But at the end of the day, I always like to leave you guys with a message. And just remember, guys, you got to be patient. I genuinely believe, like, I feel as if I've spent more time being bored or pissed in this market than I've been happy, to be honest. But that's the beautiful part of it. That's the beautiful nature of the crypto market. You have to just get used to it. When it's good, it's great. When it's boring, it's boring. When it's bad, it's really bad. But if you can weather it, if you can toughen it, if you can stay okay with it, you're going to make a lot of money in crypto. You end up all cool and stuff just like Cade. But, you know, with that in mind, that's about it for me. Cade, got anything else, bro?
No, yeah, I mean, it's fun to hang out, fun to chat. This co-stream thing was fun. It was kind of cool, you know, seeing the different comments from the different channels coming in, all that type of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for doing it. It was a good time. And I'm sure we'll do it again at some point in the future. So.
Absolutely. Well, all right, everybody. Well, sounds good. I hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you all soon. See you, everybody.
Cool. See you guys.